Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the Tainted Lands Scourge of Antremoor. My name is RJ Cresswell, and I'm the Dungeon Master. Before we start tonight's session, let's meet everyone else. Take a moment to tell us who you are and who you're playing tonight. Elizabeth, we'll start off with you.
Hello, I'm playing Trunk. She's a bit of a goblin granny, and she is a bit of a monk.
All right. Christy.
I am playing Finestra. My name's Christy. I'm playing Finestra, and she is a drow bard, and she's super fabulous.
All right.
Super fabulous.
Super. Set.
I am Set, and I am playing Kennen, and they are a ranger and a cartographer specialization of ranger. And yeah.
All right. Anna.
Right now.
Hi, I'm playing Asterael. She's a wizard with subclass Necromancer from a noble background. She's cool.
All
Yeah,
right.
she's a half-elf. I can't remember if I said that. I haven't had enough coffee this evening.
All right. Maria.
I didn't wish I was a blue elf.
Well, you're in luck, RJ, because you saved the best for last. I am Mario Vilas. I am playing Luca Dular, a cleric who is a completely average guy. Nothing weird about him at all.
All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, during last week's game, your party took captive the bandits you had been hired to find and defeat the week before. After some interrogation, you discovered that the bandits used to serve Lord Coldburn as mercenaries, and they were known as the Copper Blades. They had been hired to defend a bridge, and when they lost half of their number doing so, Coldburn only paid them half of their contracted wages. After that, they left Coldburn's employ and turned to banditry upon Antremoor as a way of seeking revenge. Ultimately, your party decided that the Copper Blades had done wrong either way, and you returned them to Antremoor for pay, but with a plea to Samara that they be taken on as mercenaries by the Bleeders. After that, Eldon, the gnome, confided in some of you that he needed to travel home to consult the trolls, but he said he would return. Some of you visited shops to purchase things you needed for your adventures, and you decided that after that, you would find the blacksmith to inquire about his son, a boy named Darren, who was recently found dead near Mirror Creek. The boy's body had been reportedly mauled by something. And this is where we'll pick up. Later in the day of your return to Antremoor, you've turned in the Copper Blades to Samara at the Guild Hall, and you've purchased any goods that you were interested in. By the way, please make sure that you've subtracted coin for those purchases. It remains a pleasant spring day, but the sun is hanging lower in the sky and bathing the world in a golden glow. The villagers of Antremoor are beginning to pack up shop and wind down their day's chores. What do you imagine your characters are doing? Now, I'm going to go in the same order that we did with introductions, if I can remember. So, Elizabeth, what do you think Trunk is doing at this point in the day now? Like I said, it's a little later. It's kind of like that golden hour, an hour or two before sunset, where things are just kind of like on fire, and looking remarkable.
Well, she spent a chunk of the day foraging, and now I imagine if she hasn't found anyone in the party, she found some ladies of advanced age and is maybe on a stoop somewhere, chatting it up.
Okay, all right. So that gives us a little bit of a picture. What do you think that she's talking about with these ladies? Feel free to, just whatever you think they might be addressing.
Whatever the ridiculous things are that the youth does these days,
Okay.
and how upset or not upset we are about that, and how we used to do it back then.
All right, cool. Christy, what do you think Finestra is doing?
She's like, it is so dirty. I need to get my stuff. I'm going to go and buy some soap and some weapons and some perfume. And I'm going to get some donkeys. I need to carry all my stuff. And I guess they need to carry their stuff too. I'll buy a donkey for the team, but one donkey for me. And then I'm going to talk to Orland and see if I can get a gig at his little Hungry Eel and maybe get some food, room and board and food, and maybe a little flirting because he might be kind of cute. And you know, see what I can get into. Maybe play a couple card games for some money and toenails and gold.
Okay, all right. So as mentioned, Finestra had a few things that she wanted to purchase. So we've already talked about that, and then she wanted to talk to Orlin about
Did I
setting.
get the donkeys?
What's that?
Did I get the donkeys?
Yeah. You could have purchased donkeys and
Okay.
saddlebags.
Right. One's name is Donkisha, and the other one's name is Jackie.
All right. Okay. All right. So Finestra was able to get Donkisha and Jackie. And did she pick up some saddlebags or something like that? Some packs
she
for
got a
the.
couple. She got some saddlebags, the bigger ones. I think they were like 2 gold pieces. I think that she got the bigger, the more comparing capacity. So a saddlebag per donkey.
Okay. All right then. And then she would have gone to speak with Orlin as well to kind of like talk to him about like just setting up like a performance type gig or something like that.
Performance or gambling, either one. She can dance or play music, or she can set up like a card table or dice.
Okay, all right. Well, Orlin, I'm sure would have told her that she'd be welcome to gamble as long as she doesn't cause any problems. But also he thinks probably some of like the sailors and otherwise wouldn't mind seeing a nice performance as well. So I'm sure you talked to him about like a specific time when you might be able to come perform or something like that. So you would have set that up. When do you think you would have wanted to try to set that up for? Because Finestra knows that she was planning on meeting back up with the party in a little while, so probably wouldn't have had enough time to, do a performance just yet.
It wouldn't be today. It wouldn't be today. It'd probably start after, because she knows that she wants to help them investigate. She would let him know what's going on, and that they're really talented adventurers, and that sometimes we are called upon to do courageous stuff. And I gotta pop in and pop out, but not today. So when I come back, it'd probably be in the evening time, your twilight hour when you're trying to get the most guests, but not today.
Okay, all right then. So he'll talk to you about doing that. You'll talk to him about doing that, and you'll come to an arrangement for it. Before we go on, just wanted to say, notice that Eric's dropped into our chat, so thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight, sir. Anna, what do you think Astrael is doing?
So she bought her 100 gold worth of spell transcribing material, and she also bought 20 gold worth of material for Find Familiar, and now she's going back to her room, and she's going to throw that stuff in the fire and sit there for an hour to conjure her familiar.
Okay, all right then. So she's just spending a good bit of time to conjure a familiar. Now you will be able to, or she will be able to pass the hour to do that. What form is your familiar taking?
A poisonous snake.
A poisonous snake, okay. Does the familiar have a name? Is there a particular look to the snake? Give us a little bit of flavor on it. It doesn't have to have a name right now. Just wondering if you had one or not.
Sir Hiss.
Sir Hiss, okay, all right. And what do you think this poisonous snake looks like?
Like a black mamba snake.
Okay, all right then. Set, what do you think Kimmin is doing?
Kimmin is updating their map and also writing home, possibly even asking, like what they might want them to do while they're here in this town specifically, if anything, or if there's any kind of orders or changes in plan or whatnot. And also giving an address of the inn, I guess, for a return, like if they want to write back or something.
Okay. All right. And regarding Kimmin's map, what do you think something was interesting that they might have noted on there and added to it?
A little more details about the woods, and the proximity around the area of Antremoor, just so that it's more fleshed out. Just in case, there's a nearby place that they could occupy.
Okay. All right. So. Got it. Mario.
So I have a question. How do faithful of the Whisperer contact their church?
All right, so kind of the way this works is there is kind of like an accepted pantheon, okay? And it's not so much that everyone who worships one of these gods worships all of them, they just kind of like accept it or whatever. Most villages, kind of like the size of Antremoor or smaller, might only have like one temple in them, and that might not be dedicated to your particular, god. Because of that, I'm sure that Luca has, particular ways that they might, commune with their deity when they're in a place that doesn't have a particular temple. But that being said, your Luca would be able to kind of like go to the local chapel and kind of like pray there or things like that. And, because it's all kind of like part of the same pantheon, it's not so much, kind of like a welcoming home going there, but you're kind of like able to go there and use the facilities as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, but I was more wondering how I would contact another priest of the Whisperer.
Oh.
Like, how would I phone?
Essentially you could ask...
Or do I know? I guess I should...
in terms of like going to another place, there's like no like particular way that you would contact them unless, there was like an established temple or shrine or something like that. Other than that, you'd have to run into them or ask around, if anyone else. You just kind of have to get some intel on it, basically, and try to find them,
All right, that's fair. Then, having gathered my new components, I'm gonna head to the temple, see if I can find out anything about finding another person who shares my...
Okay. All right, then. So Luca would go to the temple. Let me get my notes over here so I can tell you. All right. As Luca is attempting to, kind of like sort of figure out how to get in contact with someone else who is an adherent of the Whisperer, he's kind of like looking around the village, and he will find this stone temple with a domed ceiling. It's got an arched entranceway. There's some stained glass windows. And just kind of like by the look of it, the symbolism and everything, he can tell that it's a temple of Damaris. Now, Damaris is kind of like this sort of like god of law and justice and things like that. Also known as Damaris the Maimed or the Judge. So you find that a lot of smaller villages that are under kind of like a lordship and stuff like that usually just defer to, worshiping Damaris just because it sort of reinforces their authority, kind of. So
okay,
he would.
I'll enter and see if I can find the head priest.
All right. So as he goes in there, he will make note that there is an altar inside. There are alcoves with like various shrines and stuff like that, and as he goes in there and sort of like looks at this, he's seen sort of like a similar setup. There are, while this is a temple of Damaris, there are little like shrines set up to various other gods of the pantheon, and he would be able to find, just like kind of like one of the alcoves that's specifically consecrated, for the Whisperer or what have you, In addition, there's kind of like some pew-like bench seating in here, and it's not a very large temple. It looks like it, couldn't hold nearly all of the village at all whatsoever, but maybe like 50 people at a time, could come in here. And as he's in here, he finds this kind of like stout dwarvish figure with this braided beard, investments, kind of like going about priestly duties within, the chapel. He's attending to, some candle placement and, what have you. So he is the, other than the dwarf that's in here, Luke is the only other person in here right now. All right.
Okay. I will approach and once I get his attention, I'll hold out my hand to shake. I'll shake his hand.
All right. So he'll come over to you and extend his hand as well. And once again, like I said, he's this sort of stout dwarf man. Hello. Well met.
Hello. I have come to pay tithe to the dark between the stars. Do you know where I may find it?
Well, while this is a temple of Damaris, you are welcome here. As you know, there are no temples dedicated to the Whisperer within Antremoor. Occasionally travelers come through, visit the Whisperer's shrine. You may often find those such travelers at the inn. You are more than welcome to stay here, conduct any business you might have. What brings you to town?
I have received a vision. I am to search out my enemy and destroy it within these walls and beyond. I merely came here to pay my dues. Will you see to it that my coin reaches its proper place?
Indeed, I will.
Alright, cool. I'm just making sure that we're on the same page. I'm going to leave my tithe here, and then hopefully the next time a priest or someone, a priest of the Whisper comes in, that they get it and it goes to where it's supposed to go. I assume priests still pay tithes in this world, or am I...
I kind of leave flavor up up to you, so however you think it might work. I don't have an extensive worked out system for, the deities and stuff like that. Just in general, there's this collection, this pantheon of gods, and clerics, regardless of which one it is, sort of work together, kind of like I've previously mentioned. Most of the temples will have areas dedicated to other gods, so that travelers may, come worship regardless of whether or not there's a temple there. It is not entirely uncommon, obviously, for religions to pay tithes and stuff like that, but it's not anything you have to officially do to worry about losing your powers and stuff like that. It would be more this is something that's important to your character, and you think they would probably do it to support their religion or what have you.
Okay, then I will pay my tithe, and then after that I will say to him, are there any alms you need delivered while I am here? Anything else that needs to be done?
Well, as you can see, it's a bit of a small temple, but I certainly welcome the company, and if there's anything that I could do for a fellow adherent, I'd be happy to extend those courtesies to you. But no, we're not lacking for anything at the moment. Now, I am interested in you finding this enemy. Now, I should, tell you we have laws within the gates of this city, and I'm not sure what you mean to do or whom you're looking for or what have you, but keep the law, my friend. Keep the law.
I'll nod.
Okay.
Alright, and assuming he doesn't have anything for me to do, I will leave. And how much did we get paid last job? Was about 100 gold, right?
102.
102? Alright, then I'll leave 10 gold as a tithe. 10%, just keep it even.
Okay, alright. And I'm sure that Luca would, probably feel fairly comfortable doing that, comfortable, knowing that it will probably get where it should be going, is what I mean to say. All right. Now, that being said, you've all kind of painted a picture of things that your character would have been doing, seeking out. How did you want to come back together? Where did you want to meet? We didn't officially have you come up with a plan, but I'm sure that you probably talked about it. So what do you think your characters would have decided to do?
I know when we left. I was like, when we left, Vanessa says, I'm going to the hotel. She said that, you know.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't meet, or either meet at the inn or meet directly at the blacksmith's house, whichever. I don't know. Whichever.
Meet at the pub.
Yeah, meet at the... Finestra's playing music already on her little zither, and then she switches to the jazz flute. You know, she's getting down. Nobody's in there probably, but she's playing away.
All right, give me a second.
Kevin will clap every time she finishes a song once it gets there.
Thank you. So kind. I know. Thank you.
All right, so you all go back to the inn, and the humble Ill Inn and Tavern. As I've mentioned previously, it's this kind of like two-story comfortable, kind of caters to sailors, has this nautical theme, nets, ship wheels, anchors, things like that are in there. And then, of course, as we were mentioning earlier with Finestra, there's this guy in there named Olin. Looks like he used to be a sailor, kind of covered in tattoos, has an eye patch, and a kind of sort of bushy mustache. And that's just sort of what's going on in here. There are, it's a little later in the day. There are obviously travelers within here right now, many of which appear to be kind of like sailors in. I'll remind you that Antremoor is kind of like on this coast and sees a lot of business from shipping and stuff like that. So you come in, you find one another. It doesn't really matter who gets there first, second. Finestra has probably been there for a while, though, because that's kind of where she had gone. But you all end up at a table together, and now that you're together, just kind of like inner role play. But before we enter role play, Anna, give me a perception roll.
Perception?
Yeah.
13.
13? Okay. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. Just needed that. All right. So you're all at a table. Just kind of begin role play with one another, because you had told me what you thought you might want to do, but I'm going to let you guys take the lead on this, or you all take the lead on this, and sort of figure out what you're doing.
Woo, that was fun. Hey, we all here? Where's Sarah? Elvin?
Yeah, he had to go back home to the trolls and talk about some weird visions he's having. So he'll be back in time eventually. We just don't know how far or when.
I heard these types.
He said.
These hermit types, man. I've heard of them. They go off and they see these visions and come back on some quest, and then they destroy things or create things. They come back, and then it's still the same. But hey, it's okay. We'll talk to them later. Peace.
Also, I have this big snake wrapped around me, just chilling.
I'd probably be staring at it.
No one's gonna speak to this. She got snake around neck. Astrael, you play in woods too long. You got vermin all over you. Get it off.
No, my snake. My snake.
What?
He's my familiar.
Keep it away.
Is it alright to say hello?
Yeah, you can say hello.
Oh, by the way, I got 2 donkeys. Donkisha and Jackie. I get you get Jackie, I get Donkisha.
Donkisha.
Mm-hmm. So
my snake kind of like rubs against you.
Me?
No, not you. It knows you don't like it.
Okay. We eat those things,
Snake is delicious.
It's good eating, right, Trunk?
Well,
Sarah, Susan, high five.
He's not a real snake. He's from the celestial realm. Just taking this form for me.
No wonder. No wonder. Okay. Cool.
Can he take any form?
There's a few forms he can take. I have to recast the spell, though.
Oh, it's one of those. Why didn't you say so? Okay.
I did. I said it was a...
I'm sorry. I get my words mixed up sometimes. I thought you said it was something else. It's really naughty, and I just let it hang in the air because I didn't understand quickly. But,
What did I say? That was naughty.
I'm just gonna go back to playing some.
Trunk giggles into her ale.
I believe we were going to look into the death of a child.
Oh, right.
Yes, someone must do something.
Yes, we do, because we can't go around killing children. We kill adults. We stab adults in the neck, not children.
Yeah.
No one else is going to do anything.
I see that.
That's true.
Oh, do you get the sense that this town needs some real people in here? Because I think that the people are like really lacking, and we can like totally break this town and rule it. But they're really, something that.
I was thinking about that too. That maybe their lord isn't quite really looking out for them. He seems to be. He seems to be away. And he seems to be doing something he claims is important while leaving mercenaries in charge, but he doesn't seem to have established any kind of normal defense or like put any kind of power in the people themselves of any kind.
Then the original mercenaries, he didn't pay them, so he's not a good lord. I don't get the sense that he does his people right.
So I think they need a lot
In
of.
your experience, you have seen good lords?
No, I was kind of good, but they kicked me out, so here it goes, that's that. But that's
where I come from, it's not.
Sorry, I did not know, Lady Finestra.
Yes.
And you can't see his face, but he has a really sarcastic look on his face, but it's under the mask. Don't.
His mask is looking smirkish.
It's okay, thank you. It's all good. You don't have to call me that. Just call me Finesse. It's cool.
The luggage makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Right? It does. And I got manservant. Kevin, yes.
And the donkeys. Kevin's
Right.
shoveling donkey poop, just so you know. I'm not helping with that part.
Of course. That's what he's there for. He has no hands, so it doesn't stink.
Let us go to the blacksmith's place.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's do
That's a
that.
good idea. Yeah.
And we'll get to talk to you later, Mr. Luca, with the mask. I'm going to figure out what's the man behind the mask. But I love the mystery. We're going to keep that. So I like it. It's working.
Are you sure it's a man?
I'm not sure. I'm not. But it's okay. I'm not sure. I really can't tell. But he identifies as he, so I'm going to keep calling him he. Right, Kimmin? High five.
People can change their minds. I don't see why not.
Let's go find out about Dead Boy. Yeah.
Go.
All right, then.
Nothing.
So, from the previous couple of adventure sessions, your characters had kind of like come upon some information about this dead boy who was found. The locals were saying that his name was Darren and that he was the son of the blacksmith. And pretty much you had heard that he was found near Mirror Creek, which is on the outskirts of, or outside of the walls of the town. And when you had returned with the copper blades, you spoke with Samara, who is kind of like this captain of the mercenaries, the bleeders. And you spoke with her and you were like, aren't you all going to do anything about this? And essentially, she told you it's a shame. I wish there was something we could do about it, but we won't be leaving the walls of the city. They're being paid to pretty much, not city, the village. They're being paid to pretty much guard the village. So they're not, going traipsing off into the wilderness to look for wild animals who are attacking people and things like that. But your characters had decided that something should possibly be done about it. And you've decided to go seek out the blacksmith. And you're all kind of in agreement that that's what you're going to be doing now? Kind of like going to find the blacksmith? So when you do that, you leave the humble inn. Now, just very quickly, even though we didn't roleplay it, would your characters have eaten there? Or did you just quite literally go and sit down at a table and just kind of like talk and leave? Or say it again.
At least snacking. I said I probably would have been eating something or at least snacking.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so if your character had eaten a meal, you should subtract 5 silver pieces, if they were going to have,
An ale?
or anything else on top of that. 5 silver pieces and a couple of coppers, for a tankard of ale. So, assuming your character is 8.
Yeah.
You said 3 silver
But no
pieces
drinking.
for the meal, and
So
then
5 silver pieces
5.
and 2 copper pieces for kind of like a tankard of ale.
Did Finestra make any money?
We haven't really kind of gotten to the performance yet. She hasn't done her performance yet.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. She would have paid for me.
Yeah.
You should ask for an advance. Just
I'm good. I'm super and fabulous. You're gonna have this place packed out in no time.
All
You
right.
should get a commission. You bring customers.
Exactly. You know that. And I'm gonna hire you, Trump, to be my manager. Okay, you manage my finances. Make sure none of the fans get too close and handsy.
Oh, I'm very good with money.
Thank you.
All right. This session brought to you by the newest version of the Idol Master.
All right. So your characters, spend some time eating, talking, what have you, deciding that you're going to go find this blacksmith. And you ask around, and it doesn't take long before you're pointed to an area not outside of the walls of the village, but kind of like far away from sort of like the kind of like town center. And as you get over to this area, it smells a lot less pleasant over here. You can kind of like, take in sort of the acrid scents of a tannery, some sort of like, sharp smells coming from the blacksmith that you are seeing, or the blacksmithy that you're seeing. So essentially what it is you've got this kind of like, it's almost like this open area with a bit of canvas above it, and kind of like these poles and things kind of like supporting the canvas. There's a bit of kind of like this woodwork around it, just basically like this open structure. And as you're approaching it, you see kind of like the blacksmith working with a hammer and anvil, and it's getting close to sunset now, so it's much darker. As you approach this man, he's a human figure, and as you're looking at him, his arms are kind of like very, very, muscular from swinging a hammer all day long. And as you're seeing him, he has kind of like this leather apron that he's wearing over his clothing. Not clothing, but over his chest, and you see that he's not really wearing a shirt or anything like that under there. He's just got his breeches and boots on beneath that, and he has kind of like this bandana, kind of like pulling his hair back, and just this sort of kind of dirty-looking bearded fellow. But as you're approaching him, you can see that he's working. He has sort of like a serious look about his face, and you can kind of see, as you get closer, that his face has this soot on it from the materials that he's working with, but you can also see kind of like lines cut through the soot, either sweat or tears or something like that as you're approaching, and there's just kind of like this ring of the hammer smashing against metal, and he's the only one working here. It appears like he's making some sort of hook, like this iron hook with a little ring on the end of it. So he's got like these tongs and hammer. And anyway, what do you do?
Well, I can talk to him, but this is pretty sad subject. I think person with children should go and talk to him to be able to relate better, because I don't like
agree.
kids like that.
Trump should do it.
I think Trump should do it.
I just don't like talking.
You're good at it, though. Sometimes when you're not being awkward and weird.
Not weird.
I'll pat Astral on the back for the "it's okay, you're not that weird."
I
Oh,
like
yeah.
him though.
All right.
I do.
So who's doing what?
Trunk's gonna sort of
I will assist Trunk, but I'm not going to intervene. I'm going to let her talk.
So Trunk's going to stroll on up a little bit and sort of look at what he's working on and wait for him to have a pause.
Okay, so as you're kind of like approaching and looking, he doesn't, break stride with the thrum of his hammer, but he just kind of like, looks down at you. How can I help you?
I'm looking for something for my grandson. I was wondering if you'd do a piece of
You cut out a little bit. A piece of what?
commission.
Yes, I could make what you like. What is it you're looking for?
Just a wee throwing blade for someone about my...
Okay. There's like a dagger, essentially, is what...
Yeah, throwing dagger.
Okay. All right. And... Now I have daggers that I've made. Is this something special you're looking for, or are you just interested in purchasing a dagger?
Just a throwing dagger as long as it's well suited to someone of my... And an engraving, if you would.
All right, that could be done. By way of engraving, what do you want?
Oh, just a little with love from Grant.
Oh,
All right, that's simple enough.
that is super sweet.
2 gold. You can pay 1 now. Pay the other.
I got this. I got this, Trunk. I got this. Don't put your money away. I got this.
She's already handed over the...
Dang it. You're fat.
All right.
Mugs, man.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So, he tells you can, pay 1 gold now and then 1.
Yeah, she pays him
once.
2 gold.
Okay. All right then. Anything else I can help you with?
Well, I'm a bit sorry, but I'm here about something else a little... I'm here about your son.
All right. And as you say that, there's kind of like like this final clang of the hammer as he stops, at the mention of his son. And then just kind of, what do you know of my son?
I know he's gone. I know he was found. I came to ask if it was simply beasts in the woods or if you think it was something. I know no one is doing anything about it.
My boy was nearly torn apart. I couldn't imagine any humanoid doing that. His chest was ripped open.
I know it might be hard, but would you be able to tell us as much as you can about it? And we can look into it.
We would like to help. We really would. Go after whoever did that and make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else.
How could you possibly help?
We want to put an end to whatever happened to your boy. We can't bring them back, but we can stop this from happening to somebody else's child.
If you don't know me, why would you do this?
Someone has to do something.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing anything. Somebody has to do something, or it's going to keep happening. I have a feeling. I just love people so much, and I care so deeply. And you lost your boy, and we just want to help us help you.
All right. He looks at your group assembled here. I buried my boy yesterday, and I am working today. I'm afraid I couldn't pay you anything.
Not necessary.
No, what? Okay. Yeah, not necessary. No. Totally out of the kindness of our hearts. We need to stop this.
I just hand finesse her 3 silvers and go, shh.
She just kind of pushes it back. Just not now, Kim. I'll take your money later. But we got to stop this.
I know they found him near Mirror Creek. You
Mirror
don't-
Creek, where is that?
Let me look at my map.
While you do that, Luke is going to say, "Describe his wounds to me." And I would like to roll a medicine check to maybe see if I can figure out what more specifically might have killed him. I realize since the body isn't in front of me, I might make that with disadvantage, but I'm still willing to try.
You beat me to it. I am proficient, so if I can aid or make a separate roll, I was very much interested in doing this.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, you two could be conferring with one another, about this or whatever. So, yeah, just one of you...
I know it's hard to describe.
Yeah. First of all, one of you go ahead and roll with advantage, your medicine check, roll with advantage.
Can I do a nature check?
You want it or you want
It would be an animal?
I got
What do you add?
+4.
I have +3, but if I roll bad, I can reroll. So,
Okay.
You've seen my luck. Go ahead and roll.
okay. I will be using one of my rerolls.
Okay. Make note of your luck point.
Ooh, natural 20. So 23. I rolled 2 5s and then a 20.
All right.
What's up?
So, as you begin to ask him again about his son, and as your group has kind of like spoken with him and reassured him as convincingly as you could that payment is not necessary, and you're doing this out of the kindness of your hearts, you kind of ask him to describe once more, and he starts back in with the whatever it was nearly tore my boy in two. His chest was ripped open. It looks like something had gnawed at his flesh. But it didn't consume him.
That's definitely not
I can only
an
assume it must have been playing with him like a cat plays with a mouse.
Okay, we might have to reconsider the thing about the pay. I mean, we just have. Never mind.
I
I'm
can
gonna
take
go
care
with-
of that.
All right, and I'm sure he goes into a bit more detail, but from his description, at the severity of these wounds that his son had, you could assume it was a pretty large creature that did this. Now, there's no way of you being able to identify or pinpoint maybe what creature did it, but just from what he's describing, it sounds like a large creature.
Sounds like a creature, but not necessarily an animal, because an animal totally would have eaten the kid.
Just like the first adventure, Vanessa's now in freak out mode. She's doing silent. It's like, oh god, she's trying not to. She's just freaking out real quick.
A large, cruel beast. Seems like a
she's-
displacer beast, or maybe a manticore.
Yeah, I think
But-
this might be in the
Out of
realm.
character, the real businessman.
Yeah, obvious.
It was Mr. Jenkins the whole time.
Good old Mr. Jenkins.
Finestra's getting hand signals to just chill out.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like any kind of wounds that a humanoid would have,
So not humanoid and not
Made
an
upon
animal. So it's gotta be a thing.
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 Would she be able to show us exactly where he was found?
I did not find my boy. I know where Mirror Creek is, though.
Who
If you
found
head
him?
out of town, 3 miles to the northeast. Lies Mirror
Yes.
Creek. You'll know when you're getting close, because there's a big distillery there.
Oh, distillery, huh? That sounds the promise. I mean, it sounds terrible. They found your kid like that. Terrible. What was he doing out there? if you don't mind me asking. What was your child doing out there? Do you know?
If I had to guess, he was probably visiting one of his friends.
Does he have friends at the distillery?
No. The son of one of the farmers near the distillery.
That boy's still alive?
I believe so.
May
I don't
ask
think
who
anyone
found
else.
him?
We should go talk to him.
I didn't hear what you said, Elizabeth.
May I ask who found him?
Yeah, some of the peat farmers near the distillery. I don't know which one it was. They brought him to the village on a cart. Took him to the guild hall. They didn't know him as my boy.
Sounds like we know where to go.
Yeah, it sounds like we've got a good jumping point, Scourge. I'm sorry about your loss. And, maybe you should take some time out for the grief. We have a wonderful priest available that you can talk it out. Some people like to work the grief out, but you might want to take some time out to really feel this loss.
Well,
Just saying.
thank you for the suggestion. But I can't take the time off. And he picks up his hammer again and begins going back to work.
I was going to say, can Trunk take his hand and just say, thank you. I know I'd want someone to do something if it was one of
Yeah.
before he starts.
All right, so he goes to reach for the hammer, and Trunk reaches over and grabs his hand before he picks it up and begins swinging it again. Says what she says. His eyes are lacrimose, You can tell that he's on the verge of crying. And if you're going after this thing, I don't know why you would, but if you find it and kill it, I thank you. But what it did to my boy, I don't know why you would do this.
That's what we aim to find out.
Well, there's been strange things happening with children around here, and we aim to stop it. We need to find the root of it. I don't think this is just the one-off. I think this is more to come, but we would like to stop this incident.
Well, I hope you do, and I wish you luck. And with that clang with the hammer, just a persistent clang back on the piece that he was working on.
I would like to get some holy water before we go. Just
How
in
long?
case. Because, between the wisps and the child's skull and the wisp, and then another dead kid torn apart by something we can't identify that's definitely not an animal or a person, I totally want some
I'm
holy
quite sure our cleric has holy water and can call down divine fury for us, Kim, and trust in your ability, in your new shiny armor. Look at you all dressed up like that.
Sure, we might need to throw something at it.
Well, okay, this group can afford only one chicken. This group can only afford one scaredy cat, and that's me. Let's go.
So I actually had an out of character question.
Okay, well, first, just a second. To let Set know with Kemen, if they had wanted to buy holy water, I'm just going to assume that maybe this was something that might have occurred to them earlier when they were out shopping. So if they wanted holy water, it would have been 25 gold. They would have gone to the Temple of Damaris and donated the money there in exchange for the holy water, and they would receive a flask of holy water from the Temple of Damaris. So if Kimon wanted that, subtract the 25 gold, make note of one flask of holy water. Now, Mario, you had a question?
Yeah. So the river we were going to is about, you said three-ish miles away, or
3 miles to the northwest.
and how late is it in the day?
It is pretty much sunset right now.
Let's go.
You need your spells back.
till the morning.
Yeah.
I'm no good in the morning. I'm really good at night. I can give you light if you're concerned.
Yes, but Luca's been casting spells, and he needs to do whatever clerics do to get them back.
Well, maybe I can sing a song of rest, and you can get some of your stuff back.
But I don't think that works with spells.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
But out of character, if you guys want to keep going, that's fine. I just bring it up in case we didn't want to travel at night.
Have we haven't long rested since
we camped
No.
before
Go
that.
back.
Essentially, during last session, basically all your characters really did was you woke up. You defeated the Copper Blades, and then you interrogated them, and then you decided to make camp in the woods, so you had a long rest that night. You woke up the next morning, Luca cast Zone of Truth, and that was today. That was earlier today that happened, and Luca cast a few other spells on top of that. You didn't really get into any battles or anything like that. You essentially just interrogated them with Zone of Truth, and found out what you found out. Returned to the town, turned them in, and then you went about shopping, having some dinner, and then you went to the blacksmith. And now it's sunset, and meta-wise, there is always a concern of traveling at night, but also Mario cast some spells. He wants his spells back.
I think he wants his spells back.
If you guys wanna travel at night, it's fine.
Well, if
It is a bit-
and we go in the morning, I can probably check for tracks since I finally have survival and nature.
It is a bit rude to call in farmers just as they're setting down.
Yeah, they've been
Oh,
up
come
all
on.
day long.
Also, and
It's
I'm
a distillery. Booze.
They'll be open in the morning more likely too.
Ah.
I apologize for volunteering everyone to work for free.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I can pay everyone 15 gold for this.
I don't want your money.
Or
I don't want your money. We're okay. I'll sing a couple songs, do a little jiggle, steal some more things. We'll be fine.
don't forget you have 3 silver Finestra.
Oh, please.
I'm quite happy to pay for this.
Okay. No.
It should be done regardless.
Yeah, it should be done regardless. I'm with Luca. I mean, it's just I have to. Let's go back to the inn. I'll play some tunes.
Also, out of character, we might be able to convince him to give us free stuff if he can't pay.
I mean,
Luke is not going to.
Character Trunk is
Maybe
very
the
aware
next-
of that. That is
Yeah.
how Trunk makes her living. She doesn't get paid in gold. She gets paid in stuff.
Out of character, there's probably nothing I can use.
ah, we'll find something.
Okay, all right. So
You could get paid.
y'all make a
I
decision.
bought all my stuff.
Are you setting
Yeah.
off tonight? Or are you going back to? Are you returning to the inn and planning to set off in the morning?
Do you guys want to make camp out there, or do you want to go to the inn?
Let's just go to the inn.
All right.
Okay. All right. So you return to the inn. You've already eaten for the evening. You pretty much just did that before seeing the blacksmith. So, I'm going to assume we'll expedite things a little bit. Have you go to sleep, wake up, have some breakfast, and then get out on the road. Does that sound fine, or does anyone want to do anything in particular?
I want to cast. I want to cast the ritual for Kevin so he can round up our stuff and cart it as far as he can for the hour that he's available, and scooping up poop and
Okay,
guiding
so
donkeys and
you mean the
packing.
next morning after you wake up, you want to wake up
Yeah.
and cast. Okay. All right. So first, because you're staying in the inn another night, be sure that each of you subtract 8 silver pieces. I'm certain that you probably want to wake up and have a meal before leaving for the road. So it would be another 5 silver pieces, so 13 silver pieces in total for the night's stay, plus the breakfast fare in the morning. So if you had breakfast, be sure that you take off 13 altogether.
Did Trunk get anything helpful and or interesting when she was foraging the day?
Yeah.
Or if you want to resolve that off
Trunk
screen.
and Elden, too.
Yeah, we can talk about that off. Well, I mean, yeah, let's talk about that off stream.
Okay.
I'd like to have sent a letter to Astro's mother or parents asking for some more money to be sent,
Okay.
Oh,
if they can.
All right.
And
I'm gonna send a
Finestra
letter.
would want to take time with Samara's note to study it and just practice writing stuff in her handwriting
Okay.
over.
All right.
Oh, also last night, could we have had a study session for Goblin / Abyssal?
I'm sure that you probably did. Sure.
Mark an hour then.
In the morning, after Luca finishes eating, he is going to pull out his box with sand, and he is going to cast an augury. And he is going to divine whether hunting this beast will result in weal or woe. I can explain the spell in full if you need
Yeah.
a breakdown.
I am familiar with it. I just wanted to read the text real quick, but yeah. So, how did you say this looks when you do it? What are you using? What did you get out again?
So my divination device is basically like a lacquered box filled with sand, and he holds his hands on the side of it and he begins incanting. And as he does, messages appear in sand. It's basically European geomancy, if you're familiar with the and lines will appear in the sand, and that will reveal to him whether his course of action will bring weal or woe or both or neither. And as he begins incanting, and I apologize in advance, it will be very obvious in a couple of seconds that I do not actually speak French, and I'm sorry.
Oh no, don't do this to me.
No. Yay! Come on, Luca.
You're gonna kill me, Luca.
Yay!
You speak French? Oh,
Here we go.
This will be fun.
Me too, a little.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it. I have this big old... A day to wait Tambala. Levez-nous cette potion. Saku s'éteindre le devant. And he's going to keep going like that for a while. Tambala!
All right.
Sounds like magic to me.
So he takes out his box and begins his spell, this incantation. He receives a message of weal and woe.
Shit. Alright, well, that's interesting.
Yay! Sweet.
Sure. I have no idea what you...
There's some good, there's some bad. We don't know if he tells us. Who knows?
Who knows?
I can't do a French accent unless I'm actually speaking in French.
That was definitely not a French accent.
No, it wasn't.
No, I don't know what you were doing, but I'm
All
just
right.
saying.
So
Indeterminate accent.
he learns
Like
that this course of action will likely yield weal and woe. What that means exactly, he's not sure, but he does have an uneasy feeling about the course of action because of that. Now,
Well,
Finestra is, conjured Kevin, and Kevin is, carrying what he can. Is she planning to bring the Donkisha and Jackie? Is that right?
well, I have no idea if we're going to be camping out in the woods or whatever. I just know she'll probably, she'll let it be known that there's a donkey for them to use to carry their extra stuff if they want to. But she's going to carry her stuff, and she's going to have her weapons on her. All her weapons are going to be on her and her parasol. Whereas the rest of her junk, in case she's got to bugger off or whatever,
Okay.
And
with
throw
them.
the dagger and the mace in the saddlebags. Is that what you said they were? Saddlebags?
Yes, on each donkey.
And if y'all will
Yeah.
pause real quick, I noticed we have a Life with Louie 88 has joined us and asked if they've missed anything. And just to let you know, one, thank you for joining us, and two, our party is just about to set off. Essentially what they've done is they've taken a long night's rest. They've kind of like gathered some materials that they think they need for their adventure. They have spoken with a blacksmith in the town of Antremoor, whose son had been killed, reportedly by some large beast. And they've decided to go out and see whether or not they can find this beast. So they're about to set off in an attempt to track it down. They have a few leads. Perhaps the blacksmith's son had been seeing one of his friends, who is the son of a farmer. They also know that the boy was found near this distillery. There's a creek that runs near the distillery known as Mirror Creek. So they've got these couple of leads that they're about to head out of the town of Antremoor, travel a few miles outside of town, and investigate these leads. Now, you all have your things together. Are you taking off now, or is there any other order of business that you need to attend to?
All my stuff is on Kevin, and I offered the group their donkey, and Kevin's going to take both leads and walk with them in front of us, I suppose, while we're behind the donkeys watching him scoop poop occasionally.
Okay. All right. So,
Great view.
as we've
You're
mentioned,
welcome.
as I've mentioned before, this is kind of springtime now. You've woken up in the morning. You know, there's a bit of dew that's kind of like covering the ground. This is especially obvious once you get outside of the walls of the village. Sun yet hasn't been up for long enough to burn this off. You're traveling. The ground remains kind of like moist from the recent rains that we've talked about. And as you get outside of the town, traveling this northeast section, you almost immediately get into this kind of area of just sort of like grain land. There are also like cattle just sort of like freely grazing, and you will pass, by like various hovels that sort of like dot the landscape, and you will carry on in the direction that you were told, and it will take you not quite an hour, and then kind of like off in the distance you'll see this larger sort of like almost kind of like barn-like looking building. There is this sort of like water wheel built into the side of it, and it's kind of like sitting on this sort of like very idyllic looking creek that's like running through the landscape.
Pretty.
Pretty, I guess. There's so much light out here. It's hot. What are those things? They look like beetles with horns. They moo.
Cow?
Okay, cow.
You've never
Great.
seen a
Alright.
cow?
Not really.
So what do
What
your
do they
characters
do?
want to do?
We're gonna go and I think we're gonna go to the distillery and talk to some people. Maybe try to find that farm boy that was last with the boy. Maybe.
And the peat farmers, maybe, if we can too, just ask them.
Yeah, if there are farmers out and about, we might try to chat them up.
Yeah, and
Because it
I
was
did.
one of the peat farmers that.
Yeah, and I did forget to mention as well, you were traveling like through this grain land for a couple of miles, but the ground will get like much softer and wetter after a bit, as well. The landscape sort of like changes a little bit. You've got like not only this creek that's running near the distillery, but kind of like some, other bits of water just kind of like cutting across the landscape as well, and the ground is much, much softer and wetter here. So your plan is to approach the distillery, correct? And you're going to try to...
Yeah.
Okay.
And the farmers, like maybe like, I don't want to say split the party, but maybe like some of us go talk to try to find the boy, and some of us go to find the farmers.
If we see some farmers on the way, our Trunk would very much like to chat them up. Now you have me doing that still.
I don't
Sorry.
know.
I haven't made that mistake this time, I don't think. So...
No, just me. You've infected.
Right. Okay, so you will approach the distillery, and as you begin...
Yeah, I think Finestra and Trunk should go to the distillery, since I don't know, they seem like they have an easier time talking to people who make alcohol. Maybe I'm making a horrible stereotype judgment here. The rest of us should go to the farm and talk to the
Talk to the what?
The kid's friend.
Okay.
I forget his name.
Do small
We don't
children
have the
like,
kid's friend's name.
Do small children like snakes?
Yes.
Boys,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And some girls.
Yes.
Oh.
Kids like snakes.
Okay, so if I understand it correctly, Trunk and Fenestra are going to go to the distillery. The other three of you are going to kind of like go to try to find the boy who is reportedly the friend of the blacksmith's sons, correct?
Well, we're
Yes.
just gonna, yeah. Mhm.
Boy or farmer that found him.
Yeah.
Either
Whichever
or.
one.
All right, then. Let's start with Trunk and Fenestra. You approach...
All right.
You approach this distillery, and as I've mentioned, it's kind of like this large sort of barn house looking building. It's much larger than the hovels you see dotting the landscape. And then, of course, there's this feature of this large water wheel that's kind of like on built on the side of it, that's sort of like dipping into the creek and kind of like moving with the motion of the creek. And as you go there, you see this bugbear man. He's, a bugbear, so he's a little larger than the two, or a good bit larger than the two of you. He's wearing spectacles, and he has sort of like these mutton chops just kind of like down the side of his face. And as you're approaching, he's like taking his hat off and he's like throwing it into the ground, and he's like, swearing at a couple of the people that are, next to him. He's obviously very irate about something as you're approaching.
Can can we hear what he's yelling about before we actually engage in conversation?
Sure. You're at a bit of a distance as he's talking and you're approaching. Go ahead and just give me a perception roll real quick to see if you can pick up on...
Both or just her?
Oh, you both can roll. That's fine.
17.
15.
All right. As you're approaching, you hear him talking about something like about this fairy infestation and about how the whole lot of liquor is going to be ruined and, what have you. So.
Hey, Trunk, you hear what the bugbear said, right?
Yes.
All right, I think we need to still question about the boy and maybe perhaps get some action on this fairy infestation, or maybe that's one and two of the same. You never
And
know.
And the fairies might get you paid.
Yeah, let's go. All right, I'll start the talking. You clean up like you do usual. All right.
Okay.
Oi, hoi, hoi. Hey, oh, hoi, hoi. How do you do?
The farmer, or not the farmer, but the distiller, the bugbear who had kind of like thrown his hat to the ground, turns towards you, picks it back up, places it on his head. Well, hello.
Oi, hoi. Hi. I was here sent on a special mission because we heard of a terrible tragedy at Mirror Creek. And if you could spare us a moment of time to help us figure out the ne'er-do-wells that did that so we can be on our way, that'd be great.
Are you talking about the boy that they found?
Yes,
Yes,
Darren.
that one. Yes.
All right, it was a shame. They found him here.
Yes.
Yeah. A couple of my peat farmers found him. Brought
Could
him
you
to
tell
me.
us which ones?
There was Ned
Ned
and Bevers.
and Bevers.
They're over
Are
near.
they around?
You found them around here somewhere. Now, what business is it of yours?
Okay, we are here on official business from the Bleethers, and she pulls this out. I am Helen Real Goodname, and we heard of terrible things that happened at Mirror Creek, and we're here to investigate this, and there's much information that we can rid you of this. And did I hear tell of fairy problem too?
All right. As you say that, he kind of like his eyes go a little bit wider. Yeah, there might be a little bit of a problem with fairies. Now, I heard you say, I mean, I don't want you going around saying horrible things happen at Mirror Creek, because they don't. I don't know what happened to that boy exactly, but it didn't have anything to do with us. We just found him, and got him back to town. Now...
Oh, no, we're just looking for information. We just want to find who found him.
As annoying as the fairies are, can't imagine it's them either.
Ah.
No, but we just like fixing problems wherever we go, especially if, we can help you and you can help us.
The bleeders are in need of help, and we're their help. They're overextended with enough issues, so we're here trying to tackle the ones they can't get to. And it sounds like your fairy problem and this boy at the Mirror Creek is one of those issues that they've neglected.
Yeah, they don't much come out here. Now...
See?
How discreet can you be?
Very discreet, super quiet, like mouse.
Well, that depends.
It depends on what.
How discreet can you afford?
Yes.
I will kindly pay for discretion.
Oh.
See?
You'll pay for services and discretion if you deal with us. Those are not mutually exclusive, and they do come with two separate prices.
All right. Well, I'm in a bit of a bind here.
Yes, you are.
What happened is we had some fairies get into the still. And I tried to chase them off. They just kept coming back. They'd come in, pull pranks, turn my product blue, turn it pink, give it a funny taste. I just can't have that. So
No.
I had some of the...
Pink
Pink
could at least be a novelty, but if it tastes bad, that's no selling point.
No, nobody wants that. Not the way it tasted. So I set some traps. And I guess I hurt them, kind of, likely. And they got real mad about it. And he kind of like walks over near the still, picks up a jar, or the barn, picks up a jar, brings it back over, uncaps it, and like holds it over. You ever smell anything smell like this before?
Good.
He holds it, and as he, it's just this very kind of like caustic scent that like wafts off of it. I don't know what they did with this whiskey, but you can't drink it.
Can I do a nature check? To see if I
What
can...
does it smell like?
Again, it's just a very kind of like caustic chemical sort of smell. It doesn't smell like alcohol at all anymore. Or if it does, it smells like very kind of like, 100%, kind of like alcohol or something like that. It burns your nostrils.
With
burns your
proficiencies in herbalism kit and an alchemist kit, can I figure out what it's...
And I got a
Go
plus
ahead.
2 to
Just,
nature.
in your alchemism or your alchemist kit, give me a roll.
I don't have a kit. I am proficient.
Okay.
I have an herbalism kit.
All right. Herbalism won't really apply to this.
I'm just going for the experience, not necessarily the equipment.
Yeah. Trunk kind of smells at it, and again, it's kind of caustic. You don't really have anything to test it with. But just, sort of spill some of it here and there. And go ahead and give me a roll. Just like a straight roll with your proficiency on that.
Oh, good Lord. Here we go. She's super good at this. It's going to be great. She's going to figure it out right now.
Oh, yeah, 11 is amazing.
Yeah. Well, 11's not bad, but you're just not really sure what it is. You definitely wouldn't drink it, though. And you could think of some other applications it might be used for, like cleaning something or, stuff like that. And as you're just kind of like, messing around with it, he'll tell you, that ain't even the worst of it. There's bugs and snakes all in that barn there. You can't even get inside anymore.
Yeah. Eldon would have been real handy with this. He's one of our crack detectives. He's really specialized into all that. But we're going to table that a minute. You said Ned and Bevers. Do you know little boy that he played with? Do you know his name and his whereabouts?
If you're looking for kind of younger fella, Farmer Chaggleby has a boy named Barmus.
Okay, can you point me in that directional?
Yeah, you see that hovel right there?
Yes, sir.
You walk that way, you go about 3 hovels past that.
All right, 3 hovels past hovel. We got it. Now, Trunk, we got to deal with boy problem first, but we will help him with his fairy problem for price, right?
If he's amenable and gives the guy a pointed look.
I mean, I gotta get this solved somehow. If you can clear out my barn and my product ain't all ruined, suppose I could go you 300 gold, and I got about 6 jars of that right there. You can just take it. And he's looking at Trunk because Trunk seems to be interested in,
She was about to ask if she could take one for investigation purposes.
Yeah.
Crack investigator needs to determine what this material is, and she can't do it but just looking at it, so she has to take a sample,
No, at the very least, I'm going to use that to clean that bar down after it gets emptied.
All right. Well, you said 3 hovel and then 3 hovels, right?
That's right.
Okay, it might take a little.
Just a little bit, takes time for these things. But thank you for the offer of 300 gold and the 6 jars of this nonsense. And we're going to take care of whatever is attacking people in the woods, I tell you. And your name is again?
I'm Imris, or Amish. Amish.
Amish. What kind of Amish? What kind of spirits do you do around here? Is it just whiskeys?
It's whiskey.
All right, Amish. I like you already. We're going to take care of your problem because I want to taste some of that whiskey when it's not faired up.
All right, please hurry. The longer that scents, more money I'm losing.
Okay. So,
right. So
I guess we're going to go back, right?
You would kind of head back the direction you saw everyone else walking. Now, essentially what would happen, Mario, Anna, and Set, the 3 of you would kind of like go around. Now, these hovels are kind of like spread out, so you would kind of like go from, the couple that you see there, kind of like asking around. Y'all didn't get a name for the boy, but you would kind of like go, do you have a son, things like that. We're looking for this, kid, you tell them that you're looking for stuff related to what happened with the boy who was found dead out here, and y'all would get essentially the same thing that you just heard them. Eventually, one of the little farm hovels that you went to would tell you to go see Farmer Chaggleby, and that he's got a boy. His boy is named Barmus. So, and they would give kind of like the general direction as well, and you would head that way, and you would probably get there a little bit faster than Trunk and Fenestra, because I'm assuming they spent a bit more time than we actually role played, trying to get what was going on there, whereas y'all are just asking some pretty quick questions, and you will make it to this hovel that's kind of like on this expanse of land, and again, just kind of like peat farmers in this area, so ground's still very soft, things like that. And you go there, and there will be this kind of older man out kind of cutting peat from this boggy type area. And there is a younger man there with them, and they're just kind of like working, cutting it out, putting it on a wagon, things like that. Now the older man is human. What do you do as you approach him?
We'll just stand there because no one wants to take the lead.
Luca will step forward and say, Bring me your son.
Oh, snap.
Kevin pops up going, "Oh no, that's not quite what he means."
He turns around.
we're-
You know, you startle him. Didn't quite hear y'all coming up behind him, and he turns around. You give him quite a start, and he's got kind of like this hoe in his hand. What do you want my boy for?
We don't want your boy. We just want to ask him some questions about the friend that he lost, and maybe what they might have seen, if anything, that day.
You're talking about Darren?
Yeah.
I'm afraid he doesn't know anything.
Well, maybe he's seen something in the woods, or like they've got. You know how kids have stories. You've had stories when you were a kid about weird things in the woods. I mean, what if there's something like that that's like a dare or something that kids have around these parts?
I guess it wouldn't hurt to talk to him. Boy! And he calls over to this younger man, that's kind of near. Boy, get over here! He'll kind of come running over. You can see the resemblance from him and his father. These people want to talk to you about Darren. All right. And
I guess that means me, right?
Yeah. Whichever one of you want to talk. Because the old man just kind of says that, and the boy just sort of nods.
Okay, so we were wondering, you lost your friend, and that's kind of why we're here, is we're looking for what might have got him. So I'm wondering if there's any sort of, I was a kid for a long time. I mean, I'm not anymore, but what if there's like something out there that you guys, maybe dare each other to go find, or if there's some kind of weird tracks or rumors about strange dens or things that look a little out of place or creepy or anything like that, or maybe you just get a real bad feeling from the place. Anything like that.
We didn't do anything like that. He was here, and we were talking. We were talking about Farmer Began and how he says a dragon came and took the roof right off his house. He was real interested in that.
Okay.
But I don't think he would have gone dragon hunting.
Can I roll insight on him?
Sure.
See if he's holding anything back. All right.
Yeah.
Can I back him up or give him an assistance?
Sure. That's fine.
Okay. You have assistance.
So, do I get advantage?
Yeah, go ahead and roll with advantage. That's fine. Just let me know what you got.
I got a 20. Hold on, I'm still rolling guidance. 24.
All right. It seems like maybe he's not. It doesn't seem like he's lying, but it seems like he's not telling you everything that he knows. Seems like he's holding back something.
If you want to see justice for your friend, you will tell me everything. The Whisperer has ways of finding out, one way or another.
He kind of hangs his head and looks back up at you with his eyes from kind of like this, kind of like lowered posture. I dared him to try to go find it. He was going into the woods. I didn't think he would find anything. I didn't think this would happen.
It is not your fault. He walked into the woods. That is his decision.
And as you're saying that, his father, just kind of like turns to him and, begins yelling at him, Boy, it is your fault!
Oh no!
What did you send him to find?
The dragon.
Find what? Oh, the,
The,
dragon.
the dragon that took the roof off.
Why would you tell that boy to go look for dragons?
Oh, okay.
That dragon.
That
That took the roof off.
was
Send him into the woods.
You're glad Finestra isn't there.
I have no
Like
idea what to
what?
do. That he's yelling at the kid because it hasn't been that long since my own parents would have been yelling at me. So
I'm
just
gonna-
backing up.
I'm gonna turn to the father and I will say, a childish mistake, and it is past now. What we need to know is where he entered the woods.
The dad looks back at him. You're gonna take him there. You get your stuff. Act like you're going hunting.
Oh no. You got boy.
Should we
Now, when I say a
someone
boy,
else
let me
along?
clarify. We're talking about kind of like a middle to older teenager, you know, kind of. Not like a real young boy, you know.
I thought he
You're
was
not-
like 9.
Okay,
No.
so closer to my age.
With his longbow.
My apologies. Yeah. No, we're talking about we're talking about for the Middle Ages, a man essentially,
Right.
you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so closer to my age span than
Yeah.
smaller.
I would still be upset because, you know, in elf years, that's still a baby to me.
Right, yeah.
He's a grown man.
So
Yeah.
anyway, you know, the dad tells him he's going to lead you to where he went into the woods. Tells him to go get his
Okay.
stuff. Boy walks off, or young man walks off. You say anything to the father as you're standing there?
I say thank you for your help, and we've got a few more members of our party joining us. But any information you can give us about this dragon? This is only the second time we've heard of it since we got here.
I mean, I heard
Marcus
about
not
Began
mentioned
and his roof, but I don't know nothing about a dragon.
Where is what's his name again?
Farmer Began.
Vegan.
Vegan?
Let us question him. Find out what this beast is.
All right.
Have Trunk and I got back to them yet?
Yeah, probably about this point, you're kind of like coming up as they're speaking with an older farmer, you know, very dirty, working in kind of like the mud, essentially, is what's going on, standing there with a hoe. And you hear them talking about wanting to question someone named Father Began to find, not Father, Farmer Began to find out about this beast. And that's sort of like what you're walking up on right now. And, you know, he'll kind of like tell you, you head about, just a second. It's going to be about another 2 miles that way. Now, if what I hear is correct, it's going to be the only hovel that doesn't have a roof on it, I expect. All right.
Okay.
Shortly after that, the boy comes out. He's wearing kind of some leathers. Not like full-on leather armor, but he's got, you know, kind of like some leathers over.
Still has a higher armor class than I do, probably.
And he's carrying...
Everybody, hold donkeys.
He's
Come
carrying...
on, donkeys. Kevin's gone now.
He's carrying a longbow. You see he's got a dagger on his side as well. And he's got a pack. Pack that he's got slung over his shoulder.
What? Why don't we leave the donkeys here? Because if there is a dragon or something, it might
be
attack the donkeys.
I don't trust these farmers, and besides, I don't want to put Boy in harm's way. We need to give him job, and he can point us in the direction. His job is to take care of the donkey, make sure they're safe, and we go in and find Dragon, but he can tell us where Dragon is.
What's that about a dragon?
Wouldn't you rather the donkey than you?
Right,
Fair.
right. I mean, it was only 8 gold pieces.
What's that about a dragon?
Oh, so it
The
might be a
boy
dragon.
went dragon hunting.
Yeah, it might be dragon hunting. If
Well-
it's a dragon, I don't know, because I would think the dragon would have eaten the boy, not
Yeah.
just tearing him up for fun.
There were people in town talking about a young green dragon in the woods north of town. I don't know. I thought it was a bit of a... That would be fascinating to see.
Well, apparently,
DM?
took a vegan farmer's roof
Vegan.
off and a farmer vegan.
Not vegan.
Not vegan. Vegan.
I'm hearing vegan. What's
B.
the first letter?
B.
B as in Bob.
B.
Thank you.
Hey, DM, might I have
Like, why?
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
might I have read anything about green dragons in my studies?
I mean, you can
And
give me.
then also bardic knowledge too. Would I know that there be dragons in this area? I don't think so.
Pause for just a second, Christy. Elizabeth, you can give me a nature roll. Essentially, these are
Nature.
real. Yeah, these are real creatures to your world. So,
Nature, not history.
well,
I could do history.
I am proficient, and I did a lot of reading.
I mean, you could roll history as well. You would get different kinds of information, though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna roll
usually you don't
history.
roll history for knowing about creatures.
Trunk would be thinking about what she might have read, so I would add
Same.
Sure.
the wandering.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give me a history roll, go ahead.
15. Not. What did you roll?
Yeah. So
Well,
essentially,
I rolled a 4, so it's an 8.
I'm assuming that y'all will have a bit of a conversation amongst yourselves, and you'll talk about what you know about green dragons or whatever. And the couple of you that are kind of like proficient in history will begin trying to think of things that you've heard about dragons as regarding history. And I mean, you'll know some lore about different kings who had slain dragons, or even commanded a legion with a dragon, and things like that. But it's not really helpful in terms of you don't really know a lot of information about how dragons work and stuff like that.
I just was wondering if there was a history of dragons in this area that were
Yeah. So in your character being from here, and you've had a 15 on your roll, you definitely know that they're reported to exist in the area, and you can probably even come up with a few names of dragons and stuff like that from history as well.
Oh, that's a big deal. I killed 3 dragons. Let's go.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily sound like anything unheard of. It's possible that there might the woods are expansive, and depending on the size of the dragon, it may be in the woods and may never be seen by a person at all whatsoever. And then some dragons get bigger and try to basically become tyrannical, take over kingdoms, things like that. And you probably know more, names along those lines, ones from famous battles and stuff like that. But as far as any of you are concerned, you've never seen a dragon in person or anything like that, But it's
I see 3.
But it's something that you would believe of. It'd be an animal that exists somewhere. You've just never really encountered it yourselves,
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So, anyway, now, I believe what you said you were doing is you're going to head towards not Farmer Vegan, but Farmer Vegan. I'll have to think about that next time I'm naming people. Anyway, you're going to head that way. So you'll travel on. You don't encounter anything on the way there, and eventually you'll come to a hovel where there are a couple of people outside, and they appear to be working on thatching a new roof, to the hovel.
Oh, goodness. What are they doing? What is that?
I buy almond milk from them.
You buy almond milk from them.
It's not milk, it's nut product.
It's good, jokes aside.
No, I know.
I don't get the almond milk.
The California Dairy Board is trying to make it not be milk, or maybe it's the National Dairy Board. I don't.
Well,
Fair enough.
God, I mean,
Yeah, let's head in and look for vegan.
Okay. All right. Well, you approach them, and as you do, once again, it becomes quite obvious that they're trying to repair a roof of a house. Basically, they're just kind of trying to thatch this heather on top of this little hovel kind of building. and it's a man and a woman and a couple of younger kids, and the man and woman kind of turn around as you approach and hello.
So, hi, we hear you had a bit of a run-in with a dragon.
That's right. Took the roof right off. Flew off that way.
Did you look at it?
What
did.
direction do they point?
He kind of like points over in the woods, and you're kind of like close enough. You can kind of see probably a couple of miles away. There's like this large expanse of woods, and it kind of like, it's not just like a forest type area, but it's also a hilly type area. So, elevation goes up as well. And you see this off in the distance. And he just kind of like points over towards the tree line and the hills in the distance.
Northeast.
It's north.
Sorry, northeast.
It's north from where you are.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We were out here working, and it just swooped down out of the sky. Now, we've been talking about it. We saw something big flying up there, but I have any idea it was a dragon. It came down, damn near took the whole hovel with it. We was lucky it just got the roof, though.
What did it look like?
It had 2 big wings, had these large clawed feet, came down, snatched it right off. His neck was almost like a long snake, big teeth.
Was it blue?
No, it wasn't blue. It was kind of like, and he looks around at one of his tools and points, and he's like, it's kind of like this. And he points at kind of like this rust on his tool. Hide almost looked like this.
Oh no, it's a red dragon. Those are even worse than gray dragons.
I don't like it.
Hide, not scales.
Well, I didn't get close enough. Maybe it was scales. I don't know what a dragon has. But it was about this color.
I know what it doesn't have. It doesn't have Finestra. I think we can keep it that way.
How long would you say it was?
What noise? Did it make noise? Did it cackle like a man?
No. It roared and screeched.
Were you afraid when it flew by?
Yeah, I was. We all got down in the fields.
Were you afraid before he flew by?
Well, I was interested at first because we didn't know what it was. We just saw it flying around. Real big. I thought it was a bird. A big bird. Till it came down and took off the roof.
Hey, this is all perplexing. You guys, are you sure we want to keep this course of action for
Yes.
no money? All right, all right. You're
I
very
want to see a
persistent.
dragon. I want to see a dragon. I want to
You're
see a
so
dragon.
excited. You're excited.
I can pet.
Monk. Truck.
All right.
No
Anyway,
way.
he's just, as you're kind of like all, cautiously, kind of debating what's going on next or what you might do or whatever, but he's just like, yeah, I was scared. We got down in the field. I'm just glad he didn't take any of us. Didn't get the livestock either.
Did it
He
breathe
didn't get the
fire?
license.
Sorry.
Sorry, what?
Was it breathing fire or anything? Did anything expel from it?
No, just loud screeches, roars.
How many legs did it have?
Well, I saw the 2 that took the roof off, but I was on the ground by the time it got that close. I was trying not to be seen, so I didn't really see it too well.
Lucas is gonna go around the house and look for any any signs of damage other than the roof being ripped off. Maybe like a point of impact where it landed that might have damaged like one of the side walls. And roll investigation to see if you can find anything.
Sure, give me an investigation roll.
Okay.
Can I assist with survival and nature?
It's two. I mean, you can make your own roll for nature is probably what you want to do, maybe. But let's resolve Mario first.
14.
14. I mean, you can definitely tell signs of like damage from where it looks like talons or claws or something kind of like gashed into some wooden areas on the hovel. As you're kind of around there as well, you see kind of like, or actually, Kimmin, did you make a nature roll? Or
Use
some?
the D20, right?
Use a d20, and actually let's make that survival instead of nature. So
Okay. 11 plus 1. So 12.
12, that's still good enough. As the two of you are kind of like looking around there, like I said, Mario, Luca will find some areas in kind of like the wood where it's kind of like been gashed, you know. You would think claws or talons or something like that. You don't really see a whole lot else, but as you're looking around the area as well, Kimmin, you see kind of like some kind of like on the same side that he's looking at this damage, like on the dirt, it looks like something has kind of like sliced across the ground and like slid across the ground. And as you're looking at it, I mean, you've seen things sort of like this before. You think maybe it's a tail or something like that, but it's just kind of like brushed across the ground as it swooped down.
Will Seth point this out to anyone?
Yeah, would it be like feathers kind of slash the ground, or like a long snake kind of slash the ground?
If it's pointed out to Luca, can I roll a nature to see? Because I think out of character that the tail mark was left by a manticore tail. What knowledge check could I roll so that Luca could know that?
If Luca is proficient in nature, then I'll allow that.
He is not. So
Okay.
Never mind.
All right.
I am.
Now, Kimmin can roll nature.
Yeah. So would I know if it was like? Could I tell from this roll if it was feathers or a snake?
You make your roll, and we'll see what you can determine from your roll.
When Cameron starts looking over the ground, I'm going to place my hand upon his shoulder and give him guidance. So roll a d4 and add that to you.
So I think you said 18. Is that correct?
Yeah. So 18 plus a d4. 19, 20.
20. Okay. As you're looking at this, you just so have happened to have seen markings like this before. As, you know, you had, you know, some elders or whatever, you know, kind of like training you in your own particular skills and stuff like that, and they pointed it out. And it looks kind of like gashes that you've seen similarly made by wyverns before.
Oh, snap.
They have these kind of like nasty, sort of like scorpion stingers at the ends of their tails, and it just happened to like cut right into the ground.
Why you so freaked out, Kim? And what the deal? Well, it's just Nicholas.
So it might be a rusty red wyvern, which means they're not intelligent and they'll just kill and tear apart anything, which actually goes along well with the kid not being eaten, just territorially shredded for fun. They're pretty disgusting.
They sound like right off of beasties.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's
At
get
least it's not
rid
a
of
rock. I was a little concerned because all he said was 2 legs and talons, and that could have been worse for us because they're a lot bigger, bird-like, and nasty. But wyverns are still pretty horrid.
It will bleed all the same.
Astrael, you still excited about this mission?
It's not as cool as a dragon, but sure.
I guess.
Now, just
Your
to
enthusiasm, Carrie.
put this in there, a wyvern is still a dragon. Just so you know.
Yeah.
There's still a dragon heart.
A wyvern is still a dragon.
They're
She's
a
not
different
excited.
breed.
Yes,
Like the-
but not as...
Between a bobcat and a cougar kind of thing going
Yeah.
on there.
And I'm guessing,
Cougars and
you know,
cougars and then there's
And
I'm
unless
not sure what sexy older women have to do with this set.
What? Oh, cougar. Okay. Puma.
and
Puma.
unless you're particularly skilled in like nature and stuff like that, so I mean proficient in nature, your character probably doesn't even really delineate between a wyvern or a dragon or anything like that, or that there are different kinds or whatever, you know. Unless you particularly know and you've studied like nature, this is just going to look like a dragon to your character if you happen to come across it, you know, because it is indeed a dragon, you know, and it will probably, unless you happen to meet another one, will probably shade what you think dragons are, you know. I would imagine. So anyway, that being said, I think this is a good point to stop and take about a 5-minute break or so. So let's take about a 5-minute break. We'll come back and then you all can let me know what you plan to do from this point forward. So I will meet you back here in about 5 minutes. All right then.
Yeah.
So we're back from our break. Prior to leaving for the break, your characters had sought out this farmer named Began because you had heard, after speaking with several other people, that he claimed a dragon tore the roof off of his hovel. And when you found his hovel, he and his wife and his 2 children were busy kind of like thatching on a new heather roof. And, you know, you spoke to them and kind of asked if you could sort of look around. You asked them questions about the dragon that they claimed they had seen. You found that there were indeed kind of like claw or talon marks in the side of the hovel and kind of like some of the one of the wooden boards. Luca found that. Kimmin was kind of searching around the same area and found like an area in the ground where it looked like a tail had kind of like slashed across the ground, and they really studied it and thought back to things that they had learned before and kind of determined that they had been pointed out kind of like a similar marking in another area. And one of the people that was training Kimmin had mentioned that it looked like signs of a wyvern. And that's kind of about where we left off. So let's pick up with you all telling me how you want to take this, how you want to pursue this from this point forward. Yes, Seth.
Okay, so Kimmon's gonna look at everybody and go, "Oh boy," and I say, "I think what we need to do is have all the farmers be on alert, just in case, like all the locals be on alert, just in case when we go to attack it, it flies away from us and attacks them instead." Also, we might want to somehow get word to the bleeders that there's a wyvern and that we're going to try to handle it, but we'd love backup if possible. And if they can possibly spare anybody, but also to be on alert and watching the skies, like I said, just in case it escapes us or decimates us and they still need to deal with it afterward.
We'll be
Not
fine.
to be a defeatist or anything, but just in case the wyvern kills us all.
I really don't think we got time to go back to town and back and do all that. I really do think we need to address the issue now.
How about we send Barmus to go alert everybody?
The man's got business to do. We'll be fine.
Yeah, he's gonna hold donkeys. Isn't that right, Donkeycha? Jackie, you like him, right? Kevin, you here? About time, Kevin. You make sure that donkeys don't go away and just stay handy, okay? Please. I would like to maybe use one of the donkeys as bait, possibly.
Oh,
Lure it into a trap.
Yeah, Lord.
Someplace it could not fly away easily. A shallow
Yeah.
valley with
we
lots
could
of
use. Would they eat snakes? We could use Sarhissa's bait. All he do is get discorporated, and then I could just bring him back.
I don't know how big he is, but maybe he could be sitting on the donkey and you could, I don't know if he goes away and we'd know that the wyvern is near.
I could look through his eyes.
I don't think donkeys like snakes.
I don't think so either.
So I think maybe we should send the snake to do
Sir His.
reconnaissance. I'm sorry, Sir His. I don't mean to offend. Sir
Thank you.
His. Sir His. That's a good idea, Azrael. Send Sir His to see what he can see through his eyes and bring him back as soon as he spots something. And then I can make Kevin go that direction for bait or whatever.
If we are tying up a donkey for bait, we could use Sir Hiss to upset the donkey to making noises so that the wyvern might come, for the animal in distress.
I don't want to kill a donkey, though.
It was 8 gold pieces. We get another donkey real quick. All right. Okay. You want to save animals. You're animal lover. Okay. How about this? I got some castanets. I can have Kevin go in and play castanets to make noise.
Isn't Kevin invisible?
Yeah, but he can hold castanets and click them around.
Okay.
Does that sound favorable?
I think we ought to also just see how far out we have to go.
Let's go.
I hate to waste an
I could
ass.
make a fake donkey too.
I hate to waste an ass too.
As
A
long
good
as
ass
it
is
doesn't
hard
have
to
move
find.
around,
Yeah.
Boy, lead us to the place. Then he will decide.
Alright, he looks towards Luca. I will. And then he looks back towards Fenestra. If this is what killed Darren, I won't be watching your donkeys.
Okay. Well, Kevin can watch him. Kevin can watch him for now.
As he does
can't
that,
do much about it.
He kind of holds his longbow, in a way that sort of not so confidently, but he kind of like he intends to use it against the thing,
Now,
I think that's a good idea.
now don't forget, lad. You can give a good shot from ways away.
I'm not too keen on putting you in harm's way.
Trust me, I'm an excellent hunter. I don't intend to get close.
And an excellent shot from ways away.
Yes,
Please.
I will stay away from it. But I won't.
How much further do we need to go?
2 miles that way.
Yeah,
Going
and
north.
he says essentially the same thing. It will be a couple of miles that way. Now I don't know where Darren went in there. I don't know where this dragon is, this wyvern, whatever you call it. But I can look for signs like that. I can help.
We shall name him Skippy.
Why don't we ask Ned and Beverage to describe where they found?
Say that one more time, Elizabeth. You kind of cut out a little bit.
Why don't we ask Ned and Beverage to describe where they found him, and we can start.
Ned and
Ned and Bevers?
Yeah, I don't think you all had talked to Ned and Bevers yet, but you left them back at the distillery or near the distillery. You're much closer to.
Right. So
But where they found him, where they found Darren, was near the distillery.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Would it be better? Would it be better to pick up the trail from where they found the body, or to simply head where we think it might be?
Let's go to where he entered the forest.
Yeah,
We
let's
will
go.
find
to
the
forest.
trail from there.
I think so.
Okay. All right. Now, you all will travel on for a couple other miles, and you'll come to the tree line. Now, I asked this that I've asked before, and I'm not sure that anything's changed, but is anybody proficient in survival?
I'm finally
Yes,
proficient in survival as of level 3.
Okay. All right. So, give me a survival check.
Okay. 13, 14. Do I add proficiency to this?
Yes. You're proficient in it. So that means you add your ability modifier,
16.
which is probably wisdom, and yeah. So a 15?
16.
16. Okay. All right. As you go over there, you will kind of like enter the tree line, and it is fairly thick, thicker than the woods that you had passed previously when you were trying to take on the bandits. Give me just a second. And as you go into the woods, you hear the sounds of nature. It's not like a deathly quiet or anything like that. It is much as you would expect it. You go in there and you begin looking around, and you will come upon signs that something large has, moved through here. You see like broken branches, things like that. And, you continue tracking your way through these woods. And as you're doing this, you're kind of like going up, a sort of like gentle slope as you're doing this. You're getting into a, not quite a mountainous type area, but there's definitely kind of like you're going into hills and stuff like that. So you're kind of basically walking uphill essentially in just sort of a very gentle kind of way. And you will continue tracking on into the woods, and you don't like see any signs of a nest or anything like that, but you're just kind of like reassured ever so often, like you'll find, a massive amount of scat here or something like that, just different things that hunters or whatever, the carcass of, a large animal there, things like that. And you continue traveling on, and you will essentially do that for the better part of the day on until dusk. So you travel deep within the woods is what I mean to say. You get to the point where, your compatriots are tired and hungry and thirsty and things like that. So, and then again, by this point, you've traveled really deep within the forest. And, you could take a short rest, but if you continue on, you're going to be traveling through the woods in darkness after your short rest.
Dancing lights.
Okay.
Do we have anything that, are we seeing more recent activity, or is it still just sort of a general?
I mean, you're not finding like fresh corpses or anything like that, which would be kind of that would be the most recent kind of activity I could tell you. But you're finding signs that, apparently something large occasionally, goes through these areas. So.
All right, so we can, we can make camp, or we can progress sooner. I don't know if these are nocturnal creatures or if they're more active in the daytime.
Well, actually, that's an interesting question. Can Kevin roll nature to determine if they're nocturnal? Well, those are two different skills. Survival. Nature is nature.
Nature would be...
Which one?
You would roll nature if you're trying to determine something like that.
Okay, I want to know if it sleeps, if it's nocturnal or nocturnal. Oh, that's not good.
What'd you get?
12.
Yeah.
You don't really know that much about them, You know that they're dragon-type creatures, but you don't know whether or not dragons are nocturnal or, whether... Yeah, you just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have I read anything about where they might nest or like to nest?
In terms of like the things that historically you might know about them, I mean, you've heard about them, residing in caves. You've heard about them residing in swamps. You've heard about them, you've heard about some of them residing in like ruins of like castles or towers or things like that, So it seems to be whatever is convenient to them,
Can I ask, what is it, Bomis?
Barmus.
Can I ask Barmus, are there any caves or ruins near?
I never come in the woods this far, but I mean, there are hills. I would be surprised if there weren't caves here somewhere.
Well, that's helpful, Barnabas. Super helpful. I'm gonna say like this: we either make camp or we just forge on and maybe suss these creatures out from whence they are. Um, Luca, I can make lights again for you, and I can maybe make some lights to just, try to distract them out of their spots.
Luca, can you not see in the dark?
No.
Astriel, can you see in the dark?
Are we at dusk yet?
Yes.
I think I can see the furthest in all of you in the dark.
I think so, yeah.
As we're walking along, can I put a hand on Luca's shoulder and cast dark vision?
I suppose you can.
Oh, you can do that. That's cool.
Lasts for 8 hours.
Oh,
right. And as she just puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "It'll all be all right."
You're really short. He's really tall.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep on forgetting that. Hip.
Yeah, how do you get...
So my understanding...
Lower, small of the back, but not so low as to be creepy.
My understanding is that you're casting dark vision so you all can continue traveling on further.
Casting dark vision, so what?
So you can continue traveling on, or because someone had made mention of like setting up camp or something like that. So I'm trying to determine whether or not you're trying to.
I'm casting it and seeing how everyone. Like I'm intending on pressing on, but I'm still waiting to read the group. She's just sort of yeah, it's fine.
That is a good idea, Susan. Susan. I'm Helen, you're Susan, right? That's a good idea.
Let us find a vantage point in the forest, and then if it's hunting at night, we will see it return, and if it hunts during the day, once morning comes, we will see it leave. Either way, we will know where it makes camp, or we will find its lair.
Let's get the information.
So out of character, I think we should find like a high point somewhere where we can see, where we can see a lot of area, and then if it's hunting at night, we'll see it flying around, and if it hunts in the morning, then we'll see it leave in the morning.
Okay. All right. Well, you do that. You find an area, and again, like I've mentioned, you're kind of like, not only is this a forest, but it's a hilly type area, but you'll find an area where you can get a good sort of vantage point, like somewhere where you can, you have to go out of the way a little bit, but you get to a point where you can kind of like see over a bit of tree line while you're still in another part of the tree line, essentially, so you're almost in sort of like a clearing. So you find a place that you think would be good for something like that. And then were you setting up camp here at that point? Or
no. Yeah.
Yes? Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right, Kevin. You know your job. Let's get it together. Unpack these donkeys. Set it up. Let's get together. I don't think we should I don't think we should create a fire right now.
Yeah.
But so, that's up to
I don't think so.
Yeah, so at the point of getting there, you would probably need to recast that again because he would have, or you might have stopped to recast it ritually or something like that, because you probably traveled on for another hour or so beyond where you all had the conversation about, continuing on and, giving Luca dark vision and stuff like that, night vision. So you set up camp. And
we're going to tether the donkeys to the tree. Astriel, I know you're not too keen on donkey trap, but that's fine. I'll just tie up Donkey and Jackie, and we'll table that for later. But I think we should do donkey trap sometime, because that seems like lots of fun.
All right.
It's not like we have to let the donkey die. We can save the donkey.
Right, we can save donkey. Donkey don't have to die.
Donkeys are very useful. They shouldn't be wasted.
Okay. All right, Trump. You speak sense. So we're going to tie him up.
I could make a fake donkey or something more tasty, like a cow or something, as long as it doesn't have to move.
It likes children.
I like tearing children apart, but it didn't really eat it. So...
Yeah. Could Kemen roll a nature check to find out what they like to eat?
Okay, I didn't seem to know if they sleep during the day, but I will.
But that's different information. So maybe.
20 altogether.
I mean, Kimmin, from these previous conversations that they've had with, people that have trained them, they will eat livestock or other larger, animals. You would think that they would probably eat a human as well.
Or a donkey.
No.
I think no fire is wise.
No fire.
All right.
Fat
So
cow in a trap.
you set up camp, no fire. You're watching to hopefully either see the wyvern at night or in the morning. Now, how do you want to handle doing watch for the night?
I can see the farthest in the dark, so I don't know how you guys want to do that.
We should do it in sets of 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, since your dark vision only lasts 8 hours, Luca, you should probably be one of the first up for the evening.
Yeah.
Trunk didn't say anything about it. Trunk just kind of went
That's a
through.
good point. Yeah. That's a good
Okay.
point.
All right. So who's going to take first watch?
If Luca wants to say something about it, that's up to him in character.
Luca assumes this is a boon from his deity.
Good job.
All right. So yes,
All right.
Trunk didn't really tell Luca what they were doing. So just all of a sudden, and it's nothing that you really notice at first, but you realize that you're traveling through these kind of like deeper, darker woods at night, and you have no problems seeing really in here, and your vision is like slightly changed, and it was subtle, and you didn't quite notice it, but you're not really seeing things in color anymore, but you're seeing things well. So.
How about the lad and I take first watch, and Luca and someone else can take second?
I'll take second.
I can go second.
Then I'll go third with Astral then.
Because I only need to transfer
Right.
4 hours. So if I just transfer 4 hours and then stay up with the rest of the group, I can help. Or plot ways of making a cow trap.
Kevin, I need beauty rest. Make sure all these crickets shut up.
You don't really get a response from Kevin,
I never get a response from him. He never talks back.
Yeah. So.
Can you make us all cows?
Yeah, please.
So.
Well, it's an illusionary cow, so I can make an illusion of anything, really. I could make...
So not all cows.
Wait, how many cows can I squeeze into that space, by the way?
Just one. You can make one good cow.
One good cow. Okay. Yeah, all I wrote next to it was fleece, so that didn't help anything, but yeah. One cow.
All right.
Okay,
so my understanding.
I'm on
hold on just a second.
second watch.
Hold on just a second, Christy. My understanding is that Trunk and Barmus are going to take first watch, and everybody else is going to begin their resting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do that. You're up with Barmus, and Barmus is kind of like sitting in that clearing, sort of, staring off over the tree line from where he is. Tell me, high or low?
Low. I always roll low.
Okay. Oh. All right. So you and Barmus will kind of like sit there, just sort of like watching for anything that should fly, across the sky, and you don't really see anything. As you're kind of like looking around this area that you're in, you will just kind of like around the perimeter of your campsite, you'll come upon this what appears to be a pretty old grave type area. You're looking around and you can count like 7 distinct like grave markers here. What languages does Trump know?
Elvish, Goblin, and Common.
Elvish, Goblin, and Common. These are kind of like in some sort of runic script that Trump doesn't recognize, but there is kind of like there are these kind of like shallow engravings of this runish script on these markers. And just so you know, it's not like a pristine kind of like grave type area. Nature is like overtaken it. You know, the markers have fallen to the side. You know, things like that.
She'll take a moment and just sort of sit there.
All right. Beyond that, nothing of significance really occurs throughout the first couple of hours.
On passing on the watch to the next round, she'll mention... Because who's taking second watch?
Kemen and Fenestra?
Me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're wandering and watching over that way, there's some interesting wording, but I don't know the language. Some on some old graves.
What did you guys put us at? Why would you camp at gravesite? What is wrong with you people?
Death is perfectly natural.
I hold up my
But
flask of
that's
holy
not where
water.
you naturally put up a camp, people. You put it in the campsite, preferably by a hotel or something.
I hold up my flask of holy water. I say, it's okay, Fenestra. We can at least, try to pacify them or something if that'll make you feel better.
Let me take a look. And she wants to look and maybe an arcana check.
Just tell me
Maybe.
what languages Fenestra knows.
I'd be
Common
looking
and
as well.
Elvish and Undercommon.
Okay. She can't really make out the script at all.
That's dirty. What is this? I don't know what that is.
What is Kemen?
That covers all of my languages between the two of them.
Okay, all right, yeah. Neither of you really recognize the script, and you see it. You find it much as I've described it already.
Can I take a piece of my paper and do like a rubbing?
A rubbing,
of the
sure.
graves of one that has a lot of.
Oh, that's a good idea, Kimmin.
Yeah.
You touched that dirty stone.
Kemen takes
Also,
a rubbing of one of the markers. Sure, that happens.
I also like to take some of my incense and like light it as an offering to the dead.
No, don't throw attention.
And say
Don't
like,
throw attention.
please don't kill us. Sleep. We're sorry for disturbing you. We just really want to make sure this area is peaceful.
Okay.
Fenestra, can you keep it down? Some of us are trying to sleep, and she offers her bedroll to,
If you could sleep through that owl, that's fine. I did. It's fine. All right, I'd be quiet. Quiet now. Shoot.
So some incense and a little holy water on each of the graves, and a little extra holy water on the one that I did the rubbing of, just to say, thank you and please don't kill us.
Okay, all right. So you just sprinkle around that holy water that you purchased earlier. You do the rubbing. So
I
The
want
two
to.
of you-
I want to do a perception check to see if I see anything in my dark vision as well.
sure,
Around.
you can do that
like
in just a
where-
second. But the two of you decide high or low. Tell me high or low.
Hi.
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 All right. Okay, so you spend a little bit of time in that gravesite that I mentioned, taking rubbings. Putting, sprinkling holy water on the graves that are there. Fenestra is kind of like trying to search out into the darkness with her vision and look for things. And I'm certain that she'll find various bits of wildlife that catch her eye. Probably the same thing with Kemen, because I'm sure Kemen is being a bit eagle-eyed as well. But in terms of like a huge dragon flying around in the sky, nothing happens, nothing disturbs you as you're taking watch. And I'm sure you get to the point where you probably want to wake Luca and Astrael. Astrael?
Yeah.
Waking up, you guys. It's your turn.
I show Astrael and Luca the rubbing of the thing and tell them where the graves are, and I tell Luca what I did with the incense and
I think
stuff,
he
just to
touched
let
it
them know
off.
that's there, and we're a little creeped out by it, but it's
The
up
only
to them if
language-
they want to check stuff out.
The only language I know that they don't know is Abyssal.
Okay, what about Luca?
I have Draconic.
Okay.
If that changes anything.
Same thing, you see some runic script. You don't really know what it is. You can't read it. Again, it's just sort of like these shallow markings in these stone that have been eroded away by, time.
Can I roll? Can I roll religion to maybe determine if this burial site has any sort of special significance?
Give me a religious roll, yeah.
Okay. Can I roll it with advantage because I'm a grave cleric? Graves. Yeah.
That's fine, whatever. I don't care.
$15.
Now, in terms of like a particular like religious significance to what these stones might mean or whatever, you don't really get, but just kind of like in studying, last rites for people and funerary rites and stuff like this seems probably kind of like a grave site for, kind of like hill dwarfs or something like that. So you don't really get any significance beyond that. And once you're kind of like looking at it, you're kind of like seeing the runic script and you're thinking, this is probably Dwarven, Dwarvish. But you don't read it or speak it, so you're not entirely certain.
Almost. If I was level 4, I'd be able to read it.
If Eldon was here, he'd be able to read it.
Yeah.
He can speak Dwarvish?
So
Gnome written is dwarf.
Oh, I don't know.
Actually, Goblin written is Dwarvish too. Fun fact.
Is it?
Yeah, both Goblin and Gnomish alphabet are based off of Dwarven alphabet.
So we could.
It's not exact it's not exact, but it's more of a fun fact than anything.
But does the language translate, though, or...?
I don't think the language would translate. I think they probably use the same
You're right.
script,
like, burning the in the tavern sort of thing would be what I read on the graves, and I'd be like, what?
Yeah. So I guess, keeping in mind with that, like trunk or whatever, you would recognize like symbols, but it's more like gibberish,
Okay.
It doesn't really say anything that means anything to you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Looks like a script you're familiar with. Yeah. So, anyway. Now, Luca, Astrael, high or low?
Low.
Okay. So, it is a little bit before dawn. Still fairly dark out, still completely dark outside. You see just a little bit of pinkish kind of like on the horizon, off across the tree line. And as you're kind of like watching, you will see a large shape glide across the sky. You hear kind of like this. Well, actually, hold on.
I am awake too. I didn't go back to bed because I only needed 4 hours.
Not sure that came through.
Gosh darn elves only need to
Yeah. But you'll hear kind of like this roar, kind of like in the distance. And you'll see this large shape, this large winged shape silhouetted, kind of like against the sky. Black against the already dark sky.
Did we see where it came from?
Yeah, you got the general direction that it came from, but it didn't like emerge from a cave 300 feet that way or anything. You just saw it fly from a particular direction.
Okay.
Then
And that's just playing cards with Kevin. Like, what's up?
once Luca's gonna go and shake everyone awake.
Okay.
Once everyone's up, he said, "It came from that way. We should relocate and catch it when it comes back."
Okay.
I pack up stuff.
Okay. All right, so your plan is trying to get into a different position, sort of like to catch it as it returns. that I understand?
Basically, you go the direction we first saw it pop up, so that when it returns, we have a better chance of seeing where see it enter its.
Okay. All right. You do that, and then you go kind of like set up, sort of a position that's a little closer, has a better vantage point going that way. And then after a matter of like probably an hour, 2 hours, something like that, you're waiting for a bit. The sun is breaking on the horizon, and you've got a bit of daylight, cutting across the sky now. The winged shape will return, and you see that it is like clutching, a large cow within its claws, and it's just sort of like, you can hear its wings, or the wind being pushed aside from its wings as it's flying beyond you, and you're just sort of like trying to pay attention to where it's going. And you will note it, flying off a particular direction, and then it will swoop down into a tree line type area. Now, from where you are, Kimin and Barmas, talk to one another, and it seems like it's probably 5 miles away, something like that.
What time is it now, and how long will it take us to travel 5 miles?
Dawn
just going straight 5 miles would be a little over an hour, but you're traveling like uphill through a forest, and that was like 5 miles as the wyvern flies,
Right. Donkey was good idea. They short-footed. That's good. All right. You sure know donkey trap? We got no on donkey trap.
No donkey trap.
It is
I don't agree with it.
Should we leave them here?
Plus, he's already eating right at this point, so by the time we get there, maybe it won't be quite as hungry.
I'm debating if I should take him at all, is what I'm getting at. Should I tether him here? Or bring him?
We should bring him, because...
There might be other animals that will eat it.
Yeah, we don't want to leave him alone in the...
You care more about this donkey than I do.
Yeah, there's no guarantee we'll come back this direction. So.
I care about my stuff. All right, let's go. Okay, Luca said go. Let's go.
Going.
All right, Luca. Wait.
Oh, wait, I have my staff. I'm using my staff to help me.
All right. So, Kimin, give me another survival roll.
I got a blank on that. What was that?
Another survival roll, please.
Okay. 17.
17? That's what you said? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you will spend a bit more time traveling through the woods, probably a few hours, trying to kind of like make it to where you think you saw the wyvern going in. And you will, discover more trail or more evidence that this creature is around here. Essentially, what you do is you will be traveling kind of like through the forest, and eventually you'll get to an area that you can kind of like spot it in the sides of the hills. There's kind of like a cave sort of structure. You don't think that this is where the wyvern is just yet, but you see that, within these hills there are caves. And the further you go in, you find areas where the underbrush is completely like trampled. So this is a little bit beyond what you saw, where it looked like something large, like maybe like flew by and like broke branches and stuff like that. You can see that this large creature is just kind of like walking around within these areas and stuff like that, and destroying small bits of nature. Trees are completely misshapen, pushed out to the side, splintered, things like that. Branches are broken. The further you travel, you will get to a point where first, kind of on the wind, you will just take in this very pungent odor. And the further you travel, you'll get to kind of like the side of this hill, and there's just all kinds of scat just sort of like down the side of the hill. And you're looking up, and you see kind of like a entrance to a cave or cavern, in the side of the hill. And while you're kind of like around the outside of it, There are bits of bone and what have you just sort of like scattered on the ground. It's been bleached by the sun, picked over by insects, things like that.
Any interesting bones?
Yeah,
They're animal bones, livestock bone mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, larger animals.
Do we want to try to surprise it?
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah. I'm very sneaky.
If everyone stays near me, I can help with that.
That would be good help for me because I've got the shiny new armor and I don't quite use it as well as the other.
I'm very proficient and quietly.
Before we head up, I'm going to turn to Astral and I'm going to pull out the 2 platinum rings I bought, and I'm going to hold one out to her and I will say, "Put this on."
Okay.
Why don't you give me jewelry?
What does it do?
It is a focus for a spell. It will keep you protected. And Luca puts on his.
Okay, you do that. What's your plan? What are you doing as a party beyond that?
All right.
I would like to gather I would like to gather everyone in a circle and just sort of sit for a moment and chill out with the natures and cast Pass Without.
Pass without trace? Okay.
Nice.
All right.
I throw up mage armor on
Do that.
myself.
All right.
Yeah.
So you kind of sit in nature.
Yeah, once because I don't want to do it before we start climbing, because I don't know how long it's going to take to get to the actual cave. But once we get to the lip of the cave, I'm going to both cast Frost Life upon myself, and then I am going to cast Wording Bond. And what Wording Bond does is it will give Astral +1 to armor class, +1 to all saves. Additionally, any damage she takes is halved, and I take that damage instead.
I threw up
so-
mage armor, so I won't. Are you going to tell me that? Because I put up mage armor, then that won't.
Oh, no, both stack, because Mage Armor sets your
Oh,
armor class,
stack?
and then Wording gives you a bonus. So you'll have 14.
Okay.
You're my armor class.
That's squishy.
Okay.
I'm still squishy.
All right. So you travel on up a bit further. It's not going to take you long to get there. And you are fairly confident, most of you, that you can, climb up there. This is not like a sheer surface where, you're trying to climb straight up and there's no, footholds or anything like that. You can get up there. It's just going to be a little bit of work. So when you get closer, you cast those spells. And,
Yeah, I was about to ask about that. Like, we're like less than an hour out, right?
oh yeah, you're pretty close, actually. So,
Thanks.
I would
Yeah.
like to know when we are 90 feet from the creature.
90 feet from the creature? Okay.
Yeah, from the wyvern.
Yeah, you're probably about, let's say that you're about 90 feet away from the entrance to the cave now.
I touch Kimmin and I give him bardic inspiration. I said, "Don't mark this up, okay?"
Which D is that?
It is a D6, D4. Wait. Yes. D4.
I add that to the D20 when I roll, or to the thing after?
Whenever you need to roll a D20, you can use it one time. So whenever you need to for the whole day.
Thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
would be helpful.
Okay. All right. So again, y'all are about 90 feet from the entrance to the cave. What do you want to do?
I've got my scimitar.
Let's,
and I've got
let's
my
sneak in.
shield.
We have passed
Ready,
without trace.
hunter's mark.
Yes. Let's
Perhaps
begin.
Finestra and I should go in advance.
Yes.
Well, I'd also.
I'm
like to
very
know
sneaky,
that-
actually. So
Now that
Luca's
you've
gonna go.
given me the
As long as
path
everyone,
I should.
well, as
be
long
just
as everyone
sneaky.
keeps close to me,
Yeah.
about within 30.
I can
Yeah,
do
we'll
that.
we'll do that. I'm very sneaky.
Okay, let's go one by one on stealth rolls. So with the pass without trace, is that going to be advantage on stealth rolls?
Plus 10.
Plus 10 on stealth rolls. Okay.
Now, if I had disadvantage before, does this cancel the disadvantage?
No, you still get disadvantage. You just add plus 10 to it.
But I just add 10 to the disadvantage.
Right.
Okay.
Oh dear. Oh, plus 10. 16.
Okay, I'm gonna go one by one. So Astrel, I just got your 16 there. And hold on.
Oh, God.
That's the trace is extremely useful.
All right, so that's a 16. What you got, Luca?
32.
32. All right. Trunk.
27.
Fenestra.
29.
Kemen.
So thanks for the pass without a trace, because it would have sucked real bad otherwise. I got 16 total.
16. All right.
I rolled
So
one,
as
so
you enter the cave,
it's in that one.
as you enter the cave, you're walking pretty quietly. But when you get into the cave, it's dark in here, but there's plenty of light bleeding in. And you can see that this is a pretty shallow cave. But the thing with the inside of the cave is that bones are littered on the ground everywhere. And as you're looking at them, they're being crawled over and picked over by insects. And it completely reeks with in here. Just the smell of this death and decay of things that have, bodies that have been brought here and, gnawed upon and then discarded. As you're walking through this cave, however, I will need a stealth roll, but done at disadvantage. It is almost impossible to walk without stepping on bones that are strewn all about.
Still plus
So you
10.
still get your plus 10, just disadvantage.
Oh my God. I
Oh
rolled a
my
nat
God.
one again. That's my second nat one. So that comes to 16 again, total.
I will never roll this again. I rolled a 19 and a 20.
All right.
Nice.
And it's on this freaking roll.
All right, so let me go one by one. First I'll get natural 20. Not a natural 20. All right. Okay. Once again, Luca, what you got rolling with disadvantage?
33.
33. Astriel.
20.
Chunk had a 19 and a 20. I know it's Fenestra.
32. One less than Luca.
All right.
All right, 23.
23. And just Kimmin, go ahead.
So based off that nat one, it's a 16 again.
16. Okay. All right. So you're traveling through here, and while bones are just strewn everywhere and it's hard not to disturb them, you managed to do it large in part thanks to this pass without a trace spell. As you're traveling through here, in addition to the bones and the insects, you find, a gnawed leather boot. It looks like some kind of humanoid was probably brought within here and consumed. As you travel a little bit further, and again, this is fairly shallow, you see this large dragon nesting in a cave next to the corpse of this cow. And as you're looking at it, it looks like it's laying upon a bed of heather. Specifically, it looks like it's laying upon like a roof that's been turned upside down and is serving as kind of a nest for it. And it's just kind of at ease. You can hear it breathing. You can smell it. There is a foul smell within here.
Is it 90 feet
As
away?
you're definitely you came within here. Hold on, let me find my notes on it.
I just want to put hunter's mark on it as soon as possible.
Okay,
And
all right.
possibly fleet.
You're probably about 160 feet into the cave right now, and you're definitely within 90 feet of it. You're probably about 80 feet close, within 80 feet of
I would
it.
like to cast hunter's mark. And, it probably has a lot of health points, though. Is it already sleeping?
So it was kind of like reposed. It's resting on this bed next to this meal that it's been consuming. And I was about to say to you, as you watch it a little bit more, you can tell it's kind of like grooming itself. It appears to be like tearing off bits of dead flesh and scale.
Oh,
Oh my.
let's see. So that's 7 of these.
And it very much doesn't seem to notice your party.
6. I would like to 7. I don't know how many HP they
Do we
have.
want to try to sneak closer? Because I can't hit it from this range, like with
Well, if I
anything.
cast Sleep on it and Hunter's Mark it, not only can we get closer, but if I hit it with first, before it wakes up, it'll do a little more damage.
Can you do Sleep and Hunter's Mark at the same time?
Oh, right, because they're both spells.
Or,
Yeah.
are they both concentration? That's what I mean.
Well, and one Hunter's Mark is bonus
Yeah,
action.
but is it concentration?
Doesn't
I
say
think they
so,
both
at least
are.
Not on mine.
But it doesn't matter anyway. You can't cast
I can't
two
do
spells,
two spells.
even. Yeah,
Oh,
unless
okay.
one's a
Just
cantrip.
the bonus
Yeah.
Yeah.
magic.
So
I'll just cast Hunter's Mark because I don't think I have enough dice to put something that big to sleep yet.
Well, you should wait till we get closer. Otherwise, then you get your thing, and then the rest of us don't. We should all try to get in a range where we can all catch it by surprise.
Okay.
So can I gesture to the party and say, like, just go like this, and then I'm going to point at Fenestra, and Luca and me, and say, us, closer.
I understand it very well, and I'm like,
all right. So how close do you all want to get?
It's 160 feet away, right?
No. It's about 80 feet right now. So
Oh,
it's
very
like
slightly.
it's like
It's
100.
in the cave.
It's like 160 feet within the cave. You're about halfway there to it.
I'm gonna move till within 60 feet.
yeah, same here. I need to get 20 feet closer.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you
40
all move
40
within
feet away
60
from me.
feet. You're within 60
I'll
feet
stay,
of the wyvern.
Current.
Okay.
Give me
And draw
just a
my
second,
bow.
okay?
Okay.
40 feet away from me, please.
I would like to get 60 feet can do me good.
Okay. And then Trunk's 40 feet? Okay.
We
Okay.
stay together, right? We stay together, right? That's a stay.
All right. So, most of you have traveled 100 feet into the cave. Trunk has traveled 120 feet into the cave. Just for my...
So they're still within 30.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, I suppose I need you all to roll initiative, or you can determine your own initiative would be fine.
Or what would be fine?
You could determine how you're going to go, like what order you're going to go in. You could have like come up with a plan or whatever, is what I'm trying to say.
We can't prepare to just all hit it at the same time, or do you still need us to roll initiative aside from that?
I mean,
I think-
we're going to get into initiative anyway, so it'd be great to go ahead and resolve that now, you know.
Okay, then yeah, let's just
Okay, we
roll.
might as well roll initiative.
And Mario, if you'll make note of initiative, I think you've been doing that for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Is that right?
I can do. Yeah, I can do that.
And just go ahead and put the wyvern last.
18.
13.
18 for the...
Sorry, one
What?
second.
Oh, right.
What did Australia get?
11.
Trunk.
15.
Eldon. Eldon, you're being really rude. I'm gonna need you to respond. I'm just joking. What did Kevin get?
18. I rolled a 15 plus 3.
Fenestra.
13. And what did Barbie get?
Okay, So then...
Sinestra, you have Jack of all trades, right?
Yeah.
So if you didn't have it already, you should get the proficiency with initiative as well.
That's with the proficiency.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so initiative is
That's
myself first. Luca got a 23.
Screw it, Luca.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm always last.
My fighter is always last. It's inconvenient.
I have a plus
Alright.
0 to dex.
I was reading something over here, so I didn't pay attention to initiative. So who's up first?
Luca's up first.
Okay, what is Luca doing?
Okay. Luca will grasp his holy symbol and he will encounter. God damn it, I just. Facio, voco, fere! And he will manifest a spiritual weapon behind the creature, a knife, and jam it into him.
Okay, make an attack roll.
Does this have advantage because it's caught unaware?
I don't see that as being an advantage for surprise. It can't.
Okay, all right.
It can't move. It can't take an action. It can only take reactions.
I got a 15 or 17 to hit.
17 will strike. Give me damage for your spiritual weapon.
Okay, my damage is 6. And then since that was my bonus action to conjure it and attack, I am going to take my actual action to incant Vita Mortis Careo. And as he does, he is going to use my cantrip. He has to make a Constitution
Toll
save.
the Dead?
Thank you. I can remember the name.
All right. Okay, give me damage on that. And it is damaged, so.
10 necrotic damage on that.
Okay.
And that is Lucas' turn. And next up, it should be Kemen.
All right. What's Kimmin
I
doing?
want to cast Hunter's Mark. So for my bonus action, Hunter's Mark, and then with my bow and arrow, I'd like to shoot it. I'm just trying to remember with Hunter's Mark. Do I roll attack first? D20 first?
I don't remember the text on Hunter's Mark. I'm not super familiar with it.
I'm
So.
digging it up.
You don't roll anything on it. It's just on it.
Oh, you mean to cast the spell? No, you cast. Yeah, you just cast Hunter's Mark on it, and then I don't remember what the benefits of Hunter Mark are though.
Okay, and then I add the d6 to my damage dice if I hit it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So I'd like to shoot it through the eye if I can with my bow and arrow.
You can make an attack roll against it. Yeah, just shoot at it.
Okay. Oh, geez. Well, at least it wasn't the 1 this time. So that's a 2. I'm going to save my bardic inspiration until I actually hit it.
Okay, all right. So that was a miss.
Well, it's not going to add up to it even if I add the other stuff. So yeah, it'll be a 4 total.
Okay, did you say you rolled a 1 though?
I rolled a 2.
You rolled a 2. Okay, all right then.
You gotta
Yeah.
have more than +2 to hit.
Yeah, you should have added +5. 2 from proficiency, 3 from dex. So you add 5, so you got a 7. Which is still
still not
probably a
good.
miss.
7 is still a
Still not
miss,
gonna happen.
you know. So essentially, what happens is, Luca goes first, cast his, spiritual weapon. Dagger appears behind it. Just a second. Dagger appears behind it, kind of like bites into it from behind, and then he casts his Toll the Dead spell, and this dolorous bell kind of like rings out through the cavern that you're in right now. And then right after that, Kemen casts their Hunter's Mark, pulls out an arrow, knocks it, and then it just kind of like strikes its scales and then glances off. That takes us to whom now?
Sorry, it's Trunks next.
All right, what's Trunk gonna do?
I would like to try to bring my staff down between its eyes and then kick it in its chin.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, lady.
Yeah, 9.
9 to strike? No. Yeah. So.
And then for the foot. No, it's less. It's even less.
Okay.
It was a 4 and then a 2.
Oh dear.
Okay. So yeah,
I have
Trunk
5 dice in jail right now.
Trunk charges forward, brings her staff down, and then tries to kick it, but is just kind of like unsuccessful. Just kind of about the time that she gets up there, it's already kind of like up and kind of like reacting to being struck, from a couple of sources, and it's just flailing about, in this space. And Trunk has a problem striking it. Who's next?
Thank you for saving my...
What's that?
Vanessa.
Vanessa is going to be like, I've had enough, and she's going to start whispering, dissident whispers. She's like, I had enough of this nonsense. Monk can't hit things. I want to get out of here. It's super creepy. I want to go.
All right. What's your save on Dissonance Whispers?
14.
Natural 16. Okay. All right. So, yeah.
Still take damage.
Still takes damage? All right. Give me your half damage on that then.
Okay, so that's 2, 6, 3. You take 3 damage.
It's 3 damage. That's damage still. All right. So, Fenestra casts these dissonant whispers that, kind of echo throughout the cavern. And again, the dragon flails about. Now, who's next?
It's Australia's turn.
All right.
Woo!
Astrael.
Alright. I'm gonna bonus action cast Hex.
Okay.
So it's just kind of same as Hunter's Mark. Extra d6.
Mm-hmm.
Necrotic whenever I hit it. And I'm gonna attack it with Ray of Sickness. 17.
17 to strike. Strikes. Yes. Give me damage.
Oh wait, sorry. No, I don't roll that. It's you have to make a con saving throw.
Okay.
My bad.
All right. I'm sure it's a fail.
Yay! So you take, I already rolled 1. You take 2d8 poison damage. So you take 12 damage, plus my d6 necrotic, which is another 2. And you are also poisoned until the end of my next turn. So you have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks.
Okay. And that's until your next turn, is that what you said?
End of my next turn, yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, all of you have acted, correct?
Oh, sorry, with Hex, I choose an ability and they have disadvantage on checks with that. And I'm gonna choose, Constitution.
Constitution? Okay. Got it. All right. Now, the boy who's with you knocks an arrow. So he knocks an arrow and releases it, and it strikes, it wedges between the scales of the wyvern, and then it would be the wyvern's turn, but you can see it's kind of like looking around, sort of panicked, takes no action this round at all whatsoever, and we're back up to the top of the round. As it can really do nothing because it was taken by surprise. It's kind of like growling and hissing, but that's all it can do.
Alright, let's Luca is going to hold up his holy symbol and intent. Incertus, Polgod, Imperio. And as he does, he's going to fire a guiding bolt at it.
Okay.
That's a 3 base, so I'm going to use my second lucky on that. That is a 24. Or wait, 22.
Okay. Alright, that strikes.
Okay, so 4d6 radiant. That's 18.
18 points of
damage.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use my bonus action to have my spiritual weapon strike again. And it'll strike with advantage because of guiding bolt. I actually think the wording of it is my next ally who attacks, so I actually don't think it applies to me.
Right, yeah.
So never mind on that. And I got a 10 to hit on my spiritual weapon, so I think that.
So the spiritual weapon, clinks against its scales, but doesn't really seem to find purchase that damages it. So, all right, now that takes us to Kimmin, I believe. Is that right?
And seeing my arrow not actually hit it, I'm gonna take the shield and scimitar and I'm gonna charge it.
Okay.
So, what is that spell you did that the next person who hits it gets the what?
Advantage
Yeah,
to
that's
strike.
guiding bolt, so you'll have advantage on your attack.
Yeah, so essentially what he did is he cast this spell of like radiant energy that streaks across the cavern, and when it hits, the body is just sort of like swirled in this kind of like radiant energy, and it's like lit up and bright, and you can tell, how to hit it. Yes.
So I use 2 of these then?
Yeah, you're gonna roll 2 of those and then take the higher one.
Take the higher. Ooh, 18 is the higher one.
Okay.
18 plus. Oh, I don't add proficiencies to that part, do I?
You're gonna add. You add your strike bonus, which would be your proficiency, and if dexterity is more advantageous to you than strength, you can use dexterity because scimitars are a versatile weapon.
That's right. Yeah. So I add the 6. That's 24 to hit.
24 most certainly hits. Give me damage.
Yay. Okay, so I'm gonna roll for that attack, add my Hunter's Mark die, and add my Bardic Inspiration.
You're welcome.
Thank you, it didn't go through the thing. Here we go. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 3. It's only 8 damage, but
Okay.
I poked its toe real good.
Did it.
Okay. Now is Trunk next?
Yes, Trunk is next.
Okay.
We're gonna try that again, but
All right.
with feeling.
Oh, I
And a
rolled
different die.
Okay.
the wrong die too. That was my.
I have a feeling that one hits. That is a 21.
Okay.
And I'm gonna assume that it's reasonable to hit my unarmed. It's not gonna die from my stat.
Yeah, you're gonna want to hit unarmed.
And that hits as well with a 20, I'm guessing.
Yep. Give me damage.
Yay.
I didn't add things either from my paper. It actually would have been 14 for damage.
Okay.
So sorry.
I'm gonna take a picture of this because I rolled a 1 on my D4 and my D6.
Oh dear.
All right.
So that's a 2 plus 6 for both strikes, so that's an 8 damage.
Okay.
Wait, you're attacking with a quarterstaff?
Quarterstaff and unarmed strike. When you use the
quarterstaff is
attack
a-
motion, it's a monk weapon, right?
But it's a D8, not a D6.
I have a D6 and
That's if you use it one-handed. It's versatile, so you can use it two-handed to get a D8.
can you use it two-handed and then do the unarmed attack after?
Yeah, just two-handed and then kick him in the face.
DM, may I re-roll that? Really awful D6?
Sure, that's fine.
Or you want to let it stand? Because that's fine.
No, it's okay. You can re-roll. You rolled the wrong die. That's fine.
Swing.
Roll one again.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so same amount of damage, no problem. All right.
Actually, may I? Hang on. Does that? So on a monk unarmed strike. Wait, no. Oh no, that does take a bonus action. Never mind. Don't mind me.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Trunk is up near the wyvern and smashes into it with her quarterstaff and then kicks at it, but both of them are just kind of like glancing blows against the scales. Monk is having a bit of a problem because as she's attempting this close quarter combat, right up next to it there's just these bones everywhere, and she's like stepping on them and kind of like twisting her ankles and just kind of like
I'm not as spry as I used to be.
yeah, so it's a little more difficult to move up there. So anyway, I think that takes us to Fenestra now.
Yes, it does.
She's gonna go a little closer.
Okay.
And she's gonna go and say, Trunk, you better hold on to something. And she's gonna turn around and start twerking like mad. Thunder.
Thunder wave.
Love working.
Okay. All right. What's the save on that?
Constitution.
Is that a strength?
Constitution.
Constitution. Okay.
Oh, and it has disadvantage on Constitution saves because of Astral.
No, it has.
Isn't it? It's checks.
It's checks, not
saves.
saving throws.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Dang it, I tried.
Okay. I got like a 19 altogether with the con save. It's
great.
it's a pretty stout animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, half of 12 is 6.
6 points of damage. All right. So the thunder wave happens, echoes out, booms throughout this cavern.
He gets pushed back 10 feet.
Does that happen even on a save?
It says it doesn't say, well, on a success. Well, no, it isn't pushed on a success, so.
Yeah.
But any unsecured objects go flying too.
Bones just kind of like, fly everywhere throughout the cave, as you do this. Clacking, shattering against walls within the cave. Now, that takes us to Astrael.
But the farmer should be able to hear me booming out there, so maybe somebody heard it.
Okay.
I'm gonna cast Ray of Sickness again, but this time at 2nd level.
Is that another con save?
Mm-hmm.
Natural 19, yeah, it's...
Okay, well, you still take half damage.
Alright, give me
But
damage
you
on
still
it.
get poisoned. Okay. So 8 damage total.
Okay.
And it's not poisoned. Oh wait. Oh no, on a failed save it's just not poisoned. Oh,
Yeah, so it's...
oh, I do make a ranged spell attack. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My brain is just not here today. That's a 17.
17 will strike.
Sorry, I got confused. It's a ranged spell attack to hit it, and then you have to make a con save, so make it poisoned or not.
Okay, alright, so I already made the save on that, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does hit. It is 8 damage.
Okay,
I just need to actually read my spell cards.
gotcha. Alright then.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Now, it's its turn.
This can only go well.
I thought it was
There-
Barmis's turn.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. You're absolutely right. But that time he knocks his arrow, releases it, and it hits, but it just kind of glances off the scales.
Oh, I didn't add my d6. That's a 1.
Okay.
I'm getting used to this, I'm sorry.
All right. So there are two up next to it. That's Monk and that's Kimmin. So,
Wait, what happened to Luca?
all right.
Yeah, Lucas next.
No,
No.
the Weaver goes before me. Because I'm at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was just Barmus that went, and then Luca, and then me.
No, it's
It's the Wyvern's
Barnus
turn, and then
Weaver.
we'll be up at the top of the round.
Um,
Elizabeth, what is Monk's Trunk's AC?
Ha! It's
Yes.
infectious like a mold. 15.
15. All right.
The worst part is I really did not intend that. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, okay.
I did not realize that till episode 2.
All right. So it rakes across, Monk across their chest for 10, 14 points of damage. So that's 14 points of slashing damage, and then it strikes with this stinger on the end of its tail, and so like claws across Monk. And then as Monk is kind of like, trying to guard herself from that, just in the side, catches this wyvern's stinger for an additional 13 points of damage. And now Monk needs to make a Constitution
So
saving throw.
that's 27 total?
I didn't pay attention to...
13 and 14, right?
Okay, that would be 27, yeah.
Bye-bye.
But you gotta make a Constitution saving throw as well.
And everything was going so well.
Yeah,
It'll all be fine. It will all be fine.
fine. It's so cool, super cool.
What's the con save?
12.
12. Alright. Okay. Monk is definitely down. And as she's going out, just this intense burning like in her side. Just like feels like the wound is like just ablaze. And you just, her vision goes black, and everyone else sees Monk drop to the ground.
Good thing you're shrunk, right?
Ah! How many times did I just say that?
Like 6.
Yes. I was doing so well.
It's like the elephant that you can't mention.
Alright.
That's in the
And then, in addition to that, it begins moving towards the, exit of the... Like, it's like flapping its wings, and I'm sure it probably hit some of you, on its way past, as it's trying
Did
to clamber out of here. Causing no damage, but...
Does it rush by some of us? Because we might be able to get attacks of opportunity.
Pretty much, I think the only person that's going to get an attack of opportunity is Kimmin, because they're right up on it,
I definitely want to hack at it with my scimitar.
Yeah.
At 20.
So that's 19 to hit.
19? Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry. No, I added something I shouldn't have. That's 15 to hit.
15 to hit. Will hit. Give you damage.
So confused. add my dex to that, do I?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Oh,
Dex and proficiency.
Yeah.
that's 18 to hit then.
So 18 strikes. Give me damage.
Okay. That's the scimitar, and I still have Hunter's Mark, right? Because it lasts an hour. That's still only 4 damage.
Okay.
Oh,
Even with Hunter's Mark?
Hang on. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. Excuse me. I will get the hang of adding things off the sheet at some point. So 10 damage, and then for my bonus action, I would like
Not a bonus action. That was just a attack of
Reaction.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Just a reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, right, it's not my turn yet. Darn it. I wanted to flip a potion of truth.
Yeah.
We are back up to the top of the round. And
Did
that's-
that additional poison pump do a death save on me, or am I still at 0 death?
you're out right now, is where you are.
You're dead.
Okay,
You're down.
so it's Luca's
Oh,
turn.
I forgot to use my
Yes.
bonus action last.
So Luca is going to hold up his sword. First thing he's going to do is try to get in the way of the creature so that it has to move by him. Or is it already past where he...
No, it didn't get that far. You can see it's a bit clumsy as it's trying to. It can't quite fly in here, and it was trying to use its wings to, but it can't fly within this space. So it only moved about a matter of 20 feet.
Okay, then Luca will move up to basically try to block it off, and as he does so, he's going to take his bonus action to attempt Insertus Volcar Imperio, and as he does, he's going to cast a healing word on Chunk, and because of the Circle of Mortality feature, that'll automatically heal for the max, which is 7 for him. So Chunk heals for 7. And then with my actual action, I'm going to channel Divinity and activate my Path to the Grave. So the next attack that hits him will deal double damage. So something big.
Okay.
Vicious mockery.
All right.
So not again.
So I think Trunk is up next. No, Kimmin is up next.
Yeah, Kevin's up next.
Yeah.
I am up next. Okay, so for my action, I would like to cast my free 1 entangle for long rest. Or weak, I'm not sure which one that one is. But I still have one because I haven't used it yet.
Okay.
And I want to cast entangle on the wyvern, obviously.
Is Entangle's a strength save, right?
Yeah, it has to save against an 11.
And he will.
He probably will.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you cast this spell, and first of all, Luca, manages to bring Trunk back to consciousness with a little bit of healing, and then you begin casting the spell, and all of these, vines and thorns and whatever begin kind of like wrapping around the legs of the wyvern. But as it does, it just kind of like tears them from the ground, So.
It's still a little big. Okay, and then for my bonus action, I would like to give Trunk a potion if he needs it. I know that she's up, but I don't know if she's all the way healthy.
Okay, alright, so you rush over to him and you give him a potion of healing, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd like to
alright.
try.
So, Trunk, you've now got a potion of healing in your possession. It's your turn.
Is it a bonus action to take a potion?
I can't remember.
It's an action.
Yeah.
It's an okay. I've seen action to give and bonus action to take, but I wasn't sure what we were. And I've seen action for both, and I wasn't sure what we were rolling.
To use an object or manipulate it is an act.
Yeah. Crit roll, it's a bonus action, but I think that's their house rule.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, so it'll be an action, yeah.
So for us, it's an action.
Yeah. Because you actually have to take time to sit back and, quaff an entire potion,
In that case, we're going to try to smack it on the butt with our.
Hey, get him.
Okay.
Please crit.
Go
It
ahead.
will take double damage.
sorry, it keeps rolling off.
What you got?
8.
8.
Oh.
All right. 8 does not strike.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna disengage, which I can do as a bonus action, and I'm gonna like kit back 40 feet.
Okay.
Let's do 30.
All right. So you back up about 30 feet away from it. Gotcha. Okay. Now, that takes us to Fenestra's turn, I believe.
Yeah.
All right, she's gonna cast her 1 fairy fire a day and say, "Oh no, you don't, you overgrown that!" And a bunch of glitter comes out, and she does jazz hands, and it's purple, and it goes over it. And
Okay.
she says, "And you, and another thing, your butt is so big. Table that. I want to get you." And that's vicious mockery, and she's gonna. What is that? You gotta do a wisdom saving throw.
All right. Let's start with the fairy fire. Fairy fire is a dex save, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Natural 20. So definitely a save on the fairy fire, and then a charisma on your.
How did you do that? He said, "No glitter."
I rolled a nat 20. I don't even know. It's you cast this spell. This purple, fairy fire goes everywhere. Like coating all of these bones and stuff like that. And then just as you release it, it gets this sort of like fearful look, at this light that is just flashing towards it, and just kind of like, I don't even know, just it manages to, wings go up and just kind of like these lights just sling, out all over the place and what have you. And it's not encased within this glowing light. But the next one is a charisma save.
It's a wisdom save.
Wisdom save.
Yeah, vicious mockery, your butt's so big, and she's just cursing. Just a lot of cursing.
Okay.
A lot.
A natural 20 followed by a natural 1. So go ahead and give me damage on that.
Hold on. Look, I think
And that's going to be double damage, right, Luca?
Yeah, it's going to be double damage. Another D4. That's double. And the most use out of this ability, I think, in the history of this ability.
Alright, I got a 3.
3? Alright. You got it.
And take that! Your mama.
Alright. Now, Astriel.
Yeah. So, okay.
What are you doing?
I'm going to cast Melf's Acid Arrow.
Alright. Is that a save or a strike? I'm not sure.
It is a...
It's a save because it's like a splash, right? Is that right?
Nope, ranged spell attack.
It is a strike. Okay.
Come on. Oh, Jesus. 12.
12.
What?
No. Alright. So, all of this fairy fire kind of like goes all over the place. Doesn't seem to coat the... doesn't seem to coat the wyvern. Fenestra, then insults the wyvern's buttocks. It gets kind of like this hurt feelings look across its face or whatever. You release your Melf's Acid Arrow, but just miss. Alright, now...
Yeah, and he still takes, Oh wait, I lied. On the miss, the target splashes the arrow for half as much of the initial damage, so I'm rolling that right now.
Okay.
Plus your hex.
Plus your hex, yeah.
No, because I didn't actually hit it. I'm confusing myself. Because I didn't hit it, so it takes half damage, which is half of 11. I don't know if you round up or down.
Okay.
You round
But
up.
the arrow itself missed, so I don't get the hex bonus. I don't think.
Okay.
No, I think it does, because you still dealt damage.
Yeah.
I'm only like 90% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's
Just
up.
very quickly, we'll resolve this. What does the hex text say?
It says, until the spell ends, you deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage to the target whenever you hit it with an attack.
Yeah, so
That's
if you
why-
don't hit it, this is kind of
I
like
didn't-
it's a splash, so
Yeah, it's not. I didn't actually hit it, unfortunately.
yeah. So that takes us to the wyvern. Now, I do believe that Luca was trying to stand between it and the exit of the cave. Correct?
Here.
Yes, I was.
Okay. All right. So it will continue going forward. What's your AC?
18.
All right.
And if one of those attacks hits, I can make it lucky. I can use my last lucky to make it.
Okay. All right. 18. So the claw hits.
The claw hits, then I'm gonna lucky it to make it root.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you go to it goes to strike you. You can tell that it's coming in for a blow, like to rake across your body or whatever. It also attempts to strike you in the side, much as it did with Trunk. And that one just kind of like glances against your armor, and you are able to kind of like ward off that blow that was set to strike you. So there's that. Now it's right in front of you, and it's your turn.
All right. Let's roll that. My spirit. We don't use flanking rules, do we?
No.
Okay, just making sure. Most people don't. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Sorry.
I got a 25 to hit, natural.
Okay. All right. Give me damage on that. What were you hitting with?
As much as I would like to say this was the guiding bolt, unfortunately, it was the spiritual weapon, and it got a 15.
15. Okay. All right then. 15 points of damage.
And then I'm going to use Toll the Dead for my actual action. Vita Mortis Creo.
Okay. What was your save versus that?
My save difficulty is 14.
Okay. Give me damage on that.
Actually, sorry, it was 13. If that changes anything.
Okay, give me... So, you don't take half damage from Toll the Dead, right? It just doesn't do any damage?
It doesn't do any damage.
Alright. Nevertheless, your spiritual weapon strikes it from behind. Now, this creature, as it was trying to escape, you could tell was panicked. It had been cornered. You all took it by surprise. Damaged it. It began trying to escape. And just as it, comes, towards you, it roars and it growls. And then you've got this kind of like spiritual weapon that just kind of shivved it in the back. And then this dolorous bell rang out, throughout the cavern. And just as it struck it from behind, how do you imagine this creature dying at the hands of you and your spiritual weapon? What do you think happens?
I'm gonna say the dagger strikes it in the base of the spine and just rips up.
Okay. So, it just kind of like strikes it and then goes straight up the spine, and it just kind of like slumps to the ground on these bones that just kind of like clatter beneath it, and moans for a bit and then grows still. Now, you're in the cavern with this wyvern, and apart from the dead things that you've seen in here, you're looking around, but you don't really see much of anything else. Now, Kimmin, if you will give me a give me a nature roll. Anybody else proficient in nature?
No.
I got a +2.
Okay. What you got, Kimmin?
Like, I mean, I have a +3, but I'm not proficient.
+1, and I add my proficiency too, right?
Yes, you add your proficiency plus your ability modifier if you're proficient in it.
Yep. So, 9.
9. Okay. Now, Fenestra, I know, is a bard as well, so you do kind of have that jack of all trades feature or whatever. So, Fenestra can give me a roll under nature as well.
I did better. I got a 17.
Okay, so as the two of, or as you are all kind of like looking around this cavernous type area and not really finding anything, Kimmin begins looking at the wyvern, and Fenestra, comes over and begins looking as well, and the two of them are just kind of like talking, about this creature. You've never really seen anything like this. I mean, it is large. So it's much bigger than any of you, but not quite as big as you imagined a dragon, really. It looks like a dragon, but yeah, particularly with a wyvern, it's got the 2 legs and the wings, so this is not like one of those 4-legged dragons with wings or anything like that. It's more, metagaming, kind of like the Game of Thrones dragons, but smaller. But as you're looking at it, and just sort of talking about it, you think that you could probably get resources from this creature,
I was about to ask about that, given my proficiencies.
Yeah.
I'm not touching it, but I think we can get some good stuff off of this. What you say?
And
Who
can
wants to touch
Barnus
me?
help with that? Because he's a skilled hunter.
He is, yeah. So he can, we'll still... We'll do this one under survival, I think, and he's proficient in survival as well, so he can aid you, and you can have advantage on your roll. So just give me like 1 survival roll with advantage.
I'm going to give guidance to that person, so they roll a d4 and add.
Okay.
I can also do another inspiration. I got 2 more.
Might as well, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Who's rolling?
+1 to survival?
So this is going to be
I'm not rolling.
You two.
Kimmin rolling. I believe that Kimmin has been given guidance, which will be an additional D4, and inspiration, which will also be an addition.
Can we give it to Trump? Because Trump is higher.
Say that again.
So given my proficiencies, can I specifically try to harvest for useful potion items? Because
yes, you're proficient in survival as well.
I'm not proficient in survival, but I am proficient alchemist and herbalist.
Oh, I'm proficient in survival by a +1.
Yeah, you can kind of tell. Give me a roll in your.
I have +2 to survival. I'm not proficient in survival, but I'm proficient with both those kits. If that makes sense.
Let's go ahead and give me a proficiency check with your alchemy.
So roll plus proficiency plus what skill? Whiz or int or...
Is nature based off of wisdom, I believe?
It's intelligence.
It's intelligence?
What is that?
Then
nature is int, survival is whiz.
Alright, let's do it off
That's
of int
weird.
then.
Damn it.
Okay.
Am I still rolling then?
You're on pause for a second, Set.
Okay, cool beans.
Alright, so go ahead and give me a roll. Let me know what you got.
But with advantage or no?
With
I
advantage?
didn't quite catch. No, I didn't. No, I didn't quite catch where there was advantage. There were pluses. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not.
No, Kimmin is going to
Just
have
as-
advantage because the hunter is helping her. So you're just rolling your roll.
Okay, so just 20 plus int. That's it. Plus proficiency. Or not plus proficiency.
Yeah, I think you're proficient in the thing, so yeah.
In the kits. Okay.
Yeah.
So 20 plus int plus proficiency. Thank. I can't roll above a 10. I'm incapable of doing so. That's an 11 total.
An 11 total. Okay. All right then. So.
Just don't hand me dice.
All right. Well, Monk is kind of like trying to rack her brains about what could be useful. Now, let's pause on that for a second. Kimmin, you're going to roll with advantage. And I believe you're going to add 2 extra d4s on top of that roll.
Hope lies with you.
And then you're going to add proficiency from your...
If I fail this, can we just drag the carcass back with the donkey?
Yeah. Right.
Wait, so these go on top of the
So first roll your 2d20, take the highest one.
18 for
18.
the highest one.
Roll 2d4 on top of that.
I totally missed the ball. That's 4 total.
4 total. Okay, so 22 altogether. Now add your survival into that. So 22 plus your survival.
And your survival is...
Proficiency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's plus 3 total.
Okay, so 27 altogether. Okay, so that's a remarkable roll. You and
I just natter at you and give really irrelevant advice whenever you're doing things. No, don't do that. Do this other thing. No, you should just cut there, and you completely ignore me and are completely successful.
Yeah.
Vanessa
So
doing a dance.
essentially, what happens is Kimmin and the boy are able to harvest about 12 days rations worth of meat off of it. So you basically got 12 days rations of wyvern meat.
Good eating.
That's the first thing. In addition to that, the hide that you're able to collect from it, you think would be worth about 50 gold pieces. Or not that you think this, you think you could sell it. And I'm just going to go ahead and give you 50 gold pieces now so I don't have to look it up later.
Okay.
And kind of the same thing, as you're kind of dressing this wyvern in the cavern, you are able to determine that this stinger that is at the end of its tail, there's kind of a pocket of poison, this sac within there that has poison. So you are able to harvest that in its entirety and go ahead and put 820 gold pieces next to it.
Ooh.
As you have a good amount of wyvern poison.
820?
820.
Okay.
You take some claws and teeth as well. They're quite sharp, quite large. 30 gold pieces for those.
Sorry, total? Not for each?
Not for each, no, all together. Yeah.
Okay, just double check.
Yeah.
I want that poison.
And
I want that gold.
I want gold too.
you
Of course,
take
Vanessa one.
Yeah.
you take its heart as well.
Okay.
Now we can summon Captain Planet.
All right.
Power is mine.
Now we are
Can I
going
look around the
to.
cave?
What's that?
Can I look around the cave and see if there's anything to loot?
You can, but as I've already mentioned, I assumed that your characters had done that. You look around the cave, and this is quite literally the domicile of a wild beast, essentially.
Are there any
It's got
cool
gold and glitter.
You can definitely find some cool skulls in here, without a
Yay.
doubt.
Are there
Different-
any bones that might belong to a humanoid?
Yeah, you can actually find a human skull in here. It's only one,
Mine?
but
Okay, can we also take the wyvern's skull?
Can I,
And maybe
or
some,
just the head in general?
Yeah.
you could.
Can I
I mean, it's toothless, but hey.
How much heart, or how much was that heart worth?
I didn't give a price on the heart.
I think we ought to hand that to the blacksmith as like a. Here you go. It's not
Consolation.
much.
Can I? Well, I was about to say, can I take that skull and? Is anyone keeping me from taking that skull?
No. Wait, the wyvern skull or the
human skull?
The human skull.
No,
Well,
mine.
you can totally take that too.
No.
Yours? You want the human skull?
It deserves rest.
Oh, you're okay with taking skulls, but donkey trap is no good. Okay, fine.
But it's already dead.
Whoever it was died in terror and suffering. The best we can do is lay them to rest.
How about
We can make them into a skull puppet.
How about we let Trunk take the human skull and you take the wyvern skull?
The
She can't.
The wyvern skull puppet.
I don't think I can carry that.
It can't be that big. I mean,
I just don't understand you, Azrael. It's cool. You
I'm
know,
a complex human. Well, half elf.
you are complex. Donkey trap, no. Skull collecting, yes. Fine.
Because
I
the
got
skull's already dead. But the donkey's not dead.
All right. So this is a conversation we can carry on over the Discord. So
Yeah.
what I would like to do is I'd like to stop us here for tonight, and we'll kind of like resolve over Discord, you know, kind of like some of these questions or whatever that you might have, and I'll kind of tell you over Discord where we'll kind of pick up next time. You can give me an idea of where you would have gone from here, but it's getting a little bit later, so we'll go ahead and pause for tonight.
Okay.
And then as usual, we'll just kind of do a round of everyone. If you got anything you want to say or plug in particular, take the time to do so. So Elizabeth, let's start with you.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth. I have nothing to plug at all, but you can find me on Twitter at GriffinArcher, GRYPHON. Have a lovely evening, and thanks for joining us.
All right, Christy.
Well, my cousin Robbie is going to be mad because I couldn't remember his YouTube stream, but, you know, I'm just going to say, sorry, Robbie, watch mine, and I'll tell people about yours. But you can find me on Twitter, Christy Peterson, the Black Christy, or anywhere on Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
All right, set.
Donkey trap would have worked.
Donkey trap probably would have worked. Yeah, I can't think of anything, so.
Okie doke.
Thanks.
All right, Anna.
Well, since Live at the Copper Cauldron is on hiatus, I'm just going to recommend a book that people read. It's called The Once and Future King. If you've seen Sword in the Stone by Disney, it's based on this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to recommend a good book.
Yeah. I just I've got it in a stack over. I'm motioning over here to where I've got a stack of books, and that's one of the books in my stack. I recently read Lamorte Arthur for the second time. You know, so I've never read The Once and Future King though, so I'm planning to get to that relatively soon. So that's cool. All right, Luca. I mean Mario. Sorry.
What's your real name?
It turns out I was Luca the whole time. That's what's behind the mask, is literally my thing. I'm Marvelous. You can find more of me at Lights Camera Initiative on Twitter. You can find me at the YouTube of the same name. Additionally, on Thursdays before this show, I am on the Greyhawk channel. And coming up in a couple weeks, I forget the exact day, I'm going to be on Datebit Gaming's Whose Line Is It Anyway One Shot. It's going to have a lot of audience participation, scenes from a hat, stuff like that. If you like the show, you like that. She got a bunch of performers together. Additionally, since we're recommending books, you should all definitely read Three Hearts and Three Lions. It's actually where the whole concept of the Paladin class comes from. It comes from that novel. It's really good. You should all read it.
Gonna write that down.
Cool. Never read it. Sounds awesome. All right, and then I am RJ Cresswell. You can find me on Twitter at RJ_Cresswell. As usual, I post things about Dungeons and Dragons, do giveaways, occasionally painted minis, things like that. I also have another stream on Monday nights, which is Tainted Lands, Shadows of the City. We also play from 8 p.m. Eastern on. And then, of course, I have this stream with these lovely people that I do every Thursday night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. And obviously, you can find us there. If you joined us in chat tonight, we appreciate it so very much. If you watch this on YouTube later, we appreciate that as well. So, anyway, thank you. And then all of you, thanks for playing tonight. I enjoyed it, and I will plan on seeing you next Thursday.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thanks for having
All
us,
right.
indeed.
Night, y'all.
Night.
Bye.